You're watching Big South Baseball on ESPN+. Two of the top three teams in the league, and with 5 weeks to go, Campbell has emerged as the top threat in the Big South. A 9-2 win last night. They look to take the series right in the arm of Cade Boxrucker against a young Longwood freshman getting the baseball today. Welcome inside the booth with the All-American Cole Hallam, Ivan Budrovich. The hair looks great today, Cole.
Thank you.
And for these pitching staffs, we've seen Campbell dominate with Thomas Harrington last night. How did the Lancers with the young Michael Warnick slow down this Campbell offense?
I think it's going to be important for Warnick to keep the ball down in the zone. The Campbell offense is starting to slug it. They're hitting the ball deep, and it's going to be important with the batting average against being a bit high for Warnick. Keep the ball down, creating a lot of ground ball outs, weak contact early in the count.
So Warnick did not get an out in his last start. It's interesting because Boxrucker, he hasn't been a starter until last week. Only 10 innings, yet two young arms looking to find their rhythm here on Saturday.
They are. It's going to be tough. It's a warm day. Ball likes to jump out of this park this time of year, so it's important for both starters. Keep the ball down, get ahead early in the count, and try to create the ground ball offense.
This Longwood offense, led by Coach Chad Oxendine, a former Coastal Carolina assistant. Cole, they struggled yesterday. 2 runs on 6 hits. They did score 2 runs yesterday, so Greg Ryan moves up from the 8th spot to the 4. How does the productivity come back today?
They need to stay in their identity. This is a team that's had a pretty good year. They're starting to put some things together, buy into what Coach Oxendine is preaching. So don't hit the panic button just yet. Buy into your identity and see if you can create some offense today in Boxrucker.
He's a big preacher of getting on base with doubles and stolen bases. We saw a lot of that for Longwood all year long. And here comes Cade Boxrucker, a young arm who had 7 strikeouts against NCA&T. That's impressive in your first start of the season. How does he carry that forward today?
Stay within himself, understand what made him successful, and buy into that. So both, you're looking at an offense that needs to stay true to their identity, and Boxrucker needs to stay true to his.
Only the 11th inning of the year for Boxrucker, recovering from an ankle injury that suffered right in the start of January. Now that ramp-up period takes a bit of time as he faces Hayden Harris. Cole, you've pitched through injuries. How do you get yourself back to a full starting role, 3 months into the season?
Usually just have to get started with getting into the mix. You see one get away there. A lot of times early in the count, or early in the game, you're still going to get those jitters. You just haven't had the amount of innings that you would like. So settle in, try to find something that's going to work, and rely on that until you can settle into the game.
Hayden Harris, an on-base machine, reaches 38% of the time for the Lancers. And he's one of 4 players with at least 8 steals. This is an aggressive base stealing club. 66 swipes. And like Dora the Explorer, how does Boxrucker keep the Longwood Lancers off the bases?
Well, it starts with early strikes, and right now that's a flurry of arm side misses from Boxrucker, which would indicate to me either he's uncomfortable or there's a bit of nerves, possibly a bit of both with that low innings count so far this season.
And he gives up 4 straight to start this first. Remember, we noted the 7 strikeouts for Boxrucker. He only walked 1 in that start at A&T, so a much different outing here in this first inning. A Campbell pitching staff that was spoiled by Thomas Harrington last night. His 9th win, which now leads the country. It's a lot different challenge when you go from elite All-American to newcomer finding his spot in the rotation.
And that's why I think it's so important for Longwood to understand Thomas Harrington's going to beat some of the best teams in the country on a nightly basis. So find a way to lock in. You're going to have an opportunity to get pitches to hit against Boxrucker today.
Runner bluffs on the first pitch, and that's 5 misses for number 5, Cade Boxrucker. Quite a challenge for Boxrucker. He was a bullpen arm as a freshman. His first ever start, he gave up 6 runs against NC State. His first start this year, he was darn near brilliant. 7 strikeouts, 5 innings. The range of emotions he's faced is all up and down the strata.
It is, and in large part, his success really depends on his command. When he doesn't have his command, he's very susceptible to be hit. That fastball can flatten out. It's going to be in the low 90s, so it's still available to get hit a very long way. And it's going to be important for him to get ahead in the count. When he's able to do that and get into his pitch arsenal, he's a tough pitcher to hit, but when you're behind in counts and you're in fastball counts against dangerous hitters at some point.
And this is 6 misses to start the game.
It is, and there's already been a fake steal, and they're going to continue to press his buttons and try to keep him uncomfortable on that mound.
Game 2 of this series. Campbell dominated last night, 9-2. As Peterson watches his strike. We talk about speed. None better in the Big South than Michael Peterson. The Prince George, Virginia product, in fact, has 8 more steals than any other player in the conference.
This is a team that wants to run. It's really been implemented by Coach Oxendine as they want to steal bases. They want to push the envelope and be aggressive.
Here's a stolen base attempt and an easy steal of second. So you combine bad control with a good base stealing team, and there you go.
And perfectly timed there. Great pitch to run on. No opportunity for Babin behind the plate. But now, a team that lost by a fair margin yesterday has answered back here in the top of the first. And with a runner on second, it'll be interesting to see if we see him possibly resort to a little bit of small ball, but I'm not sure with the control issues of Boxrucker.
Momentum is fickle. 2 runs in the last 2 innings yesterday. And that's followed up with a nice sacrifice here. Pearson makes the snag, and that hits Harris over to third.
This shows you how much confidence Coach has in Peterson at the plate. 3-1 count, runner on second base. Trusts his batter to push that ball backside, ground ball to the first baseman. Great job of hitting, moving his runner up 90 feet.
Well, this will be the challenge behind Boxrucker today. Same fielders behind the starting pitcher, and we've seen this defense not make an error all weekend. How do they continue that today?
It starts with pitching. Boxrucker has to continue the good tempo. Thomas Harrington on Friday nights is known for pitching with a great tempo and keeping his defense involved. If Boxrucker is able to do that, look for these guys to continue to try to make plays behind him.
Jack Schnell takes a breaking ball. Schnell has 12 doubles, best in the conference. He's an extra base machine for the Lancers. And anytime your bat matches the combination of the pinstripes, you know you're doing something right. It's a man with a lot of confidence. Looks like Jack Parkman up there as he whiffs on the slider. You know, Jack Parkman had that shimmy that the ladies loved in Cleveland until he got traded to Chicago, and then the ladies couldn't stand it. Schnell, though, has bumped his average up to .333. That's top 5 in the Big South. Everyone's chasing Zach Neto as the best in the conference in batting average.
That's a good spot, Kay. Good spot, buddy.
It may just be 1 run, but how vital would this first run be for Longwood today?
It's a confidence boost. It shows them that, hey, our offense works. We can score on this guy. This is a guy we can go pick up a game on Saturday. So it's important anytime they have runners on base that they cash them in with the way Campbell's hitting on offense right now.
And a strikeout for Boxrucker. So they go slider back-to-back for a huge second inning.
Big vertical break on that pitch, too, from Boxrucker, finding his tempo just a bit on the mound, able to execute there. And this is just a big vertical breaking ball to a left-handed hitter, and that's exactly how you get him out. Drop it right behind home.
Whew. Ball starts at the letters and falls off. Good luck.
That's a wicked pitch.
You think back to Vanderbilt last night, a complete game no-hitter. The Commodores had 11 strikeouts in that game. The enhancement of starting pitching is at a whole new level here in college baseball.
College baseball, pitching is at a premium, and if you don't have it, you're going to wish you did, and it's going to be tough to win games without those studs on the mound.
Jeff Passan released a report yesterday at the big league level. The swing and miss percentage on the slider is now at 42%, the highest ever in Major League Baseball. We've seen 3 straight. That's a really good pitch from Boxrucker.
It is. A lot of the reason it's so successful is because visually it comes out flat, just like the fastball would. Another good one there. It comes out dead flat, fastball trajectory, and in that last, 20-30% of the plane just falls off the table. And anytime you can get some vertical mix into the slider, that's when you know you got a good one. And Boxrucker's found it here in the first.
Greg Ryan punched out 3 times yesterday, all on the slider, as a matter of fact. Harrington was having a field day on the bump. So here's Boxrucker on 0-2. And that is just poked foul. Not only the enhancement of the slider, but the velocity that's been amped up. We've seen Cade hit 92 to 94 today. That's very uncommon in college baseball, say 3 years ago, where your weekend staff all could touch 92. It's a much tougher task for these hitters like Greg Ryan.
The game's changed. Everybody has the technology to create velocity and boost it 3 to 5 miles an hour. And that velocity jump has trickled down throughout all levels of baseball.
And the slider ends the inning. So following the footsteps of the big league arms, Boxrucker gets back-to-back Ks.
In sports,
We are used to an even playing field.
Unfortunately,
Off the field,
court
track.
Closed.
Not all people are treated fairly.
In the Big South Conference,
we commit to using our voices
to oppose injustices and inequalities.
Join us as we champion change
towards ensuring even playing fields
In and out of sports.
The Big South Conference.
We're allies.
we're advocates.
Where winners are made.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
This Campbell offense, it's the same lineup from yesterday. Why would you change it if you're Justin Hare? 9 runs yesterday. They're now in the top 30 in the country in scoring, and that's a prolific unit up and down this order.
Absolutely, I agree. Do not change it. Whatever's working, keep going with it. This is a group of 9 that's found a way to gel together, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like what they've done.
Jared Belbin had another multi-hit game yesterday, and I love that exchange with the home plate umpire, Bobby Dunnigan. You got to earn calls early in the game, you know? You got to befriend the umpires. I feel like with you as a pitcher and a hitter, you had your fair share of experiences.
I did. Usually they were a bit different than that exchange.
You weren't an ump's best friend,
I
is
was
what
not.
you're saying.
I was a bit fiery, and I wanted everyone to be my enemy. That's what kind of inspired me to work.
So they're like War of the Worlds. You just wanted complete chaos when you were on the mound.
Correct.
Jared Belbin, he's caused chaos to Longwood's defense. Had another 2 hits last night, drove in a run. And now Belbin, his Big South average is actually very high, 390 in conference play as he watches strike 2. Belbin, the first ever recruit from Australia on this Campbell program. That is a 13-hour flight to North Carolina as he rolls and foul. Now, we did play junior college baseball in the States, so it isn't an initial trip there and back. But imagine taking those plans at Christmas time, going home for winter break.
That's a hefty haul. I thought my trip was pretty decent, but going back to California, but going all the way down under is that's a big haul.
Well, you are wearing rainbow slippers today, so I figured you got the California vibes. As Belbin goes down on the changeup. That's the true freshman, Kevin Warnick. He did not get an out in his last start. This is a great effort to begin his start today.
It is. Left-on-left matchup is one that should favor Warnick, and that's the pitch now changing the game at the MLB level. Just read an article on it earlier this week. They're calling it the sweeper, and it's more horizontal break, and it just kind of sweeps across the zone. Beautiful execution there for the strikeout.
That sweeper's left up, and Lawson Harrell with his first hit. You noted the left-on-left advantage that Warnick has. I'm curious in Justin Hare's lineup how much these right-handed hitters will see that ball off the hand.
They should see Warnick significantly better. It's an arm slot that's maybe a high 3/4, some sort of 3/4 arm slot. It's available to be seen from the right-handed hitter, and with the big sweeping breaking ball, understand there's not going to be as much depth on it for the right-handed hitters, and should be a favorable matchup for them.
What an athletic outfield for the Lancers. And they work behind a true freshman on the bump. Chad Oxendine mentioning he did not get a quality start. And he challenged his team, especially with Warnick, to respond after a difficult outing. Could not get a single out in the first. And that was a tough home series loss. 2 out of 3. Presbyterian went in to Farmville. The last thing Lancers can avoid is falling behind 2-0 against a good Campbell team.
They need to get one here today, balance this thing up, and kind of send a message to the rest of the conference that, hey, we're here to stay. We're going to see you in the tournament, so hopefully you're ready.
If the year ended today, both these teams would be in the tournament. 6 teams make it out of the Big South. There's a nice catch by Harris. So Zach Nettle retired for just the 2nd time this series.
That's a really nice catch by Harris. We've seen so many teams come here to Jim Perry Stadium and struggle with fly balls up the first base line because of the wind and the swirling baseball motion, but Harris goes a fair distance catching that ball just in foul territory. Great job to track it down.
The best part about Warnick, he had a sinker and an arm side run that was untouchable in the fall. Chad Oxendine reminding us yesterday that he wasn't expected to be a weekend arm and just kept performing at a high rate, and here he is now in the rotation.
Anytime you're that young, you've done so many things right just to start off your career in college, and in that limited of a time, it tells you how good he was to impress the coaching staff enough to earn a weekend spot.
And this is a big bopper in Logan Jordan. Had his first ever multi-home run game yesterday. The combined distance on those home runs, 825 feet. He was not cheated in the box. Runner Harrell easily takes second, and it's a hit and run the other way. I was shocked he swung at the pitch, and Harrell now comes to the plate. How about this call by Justin Hare, and he scores! Look at Jordan going down to second. It's helter-skelter for the Lancers here in the first.
That's when it gets dangerous if you're Longwood and you miss the opportunity to get your run in the top of the inning. And you're exactly right. I was surprised to see him swing, but a fastball elevated. Beautiful job, a little bobble out in right field. And
there's no pause from Justin Hare. He's telling Harrell to go for it.
No hesitation whatsoever. Harrell runs well, is also a good base runner on top of that, and with a beautiful turn at third base, not much of a chance to get him at the plate.
I imagine if it wasn't a run and hit and run, Harrell's probably at third base, right?
Correct. On that ball, he's looking to go first to third. Also, depending on if the ball's fielded clean or not, but he had the jump of a lifetime, and I was truly surprised to see Jordan swing at that baseball.
Yeah, Harrell had second base standing on that play. It was kind of odd, right? And it really worked out for the Camels. It shows you the confidence Justin Hare has in this offense to let Jordan attack the pitch and do damage.
It does, and the Campbell offense has started to evolve, and they've taken on a life of their own. Coach Hare's done a great job with it, but really what it comes down to is there's just a ton of freedom in the offense. You can swing, you can steal, and as long as you can explain your reasoning why, it's pretty much all good to coach, as long as it's erring on the side of aggressiveness.
I guess an RBI single always helps, right? When you're doing well, it's much easier to plead your case.
You're right. I mean, anytime you get it right, your coach isn't going to have much to say about it. So as long as you execute, you're probably in good graces.
Connor Denning, he's had hits in 14 of his last 15 games. This was a reigning all-conference slugger in the Big South, who's starting to find his numbers. Average bumped all the way up to 300 here as of late, and smacks one in the right field. That is caught. Good job by Falkenberry to end the inning. Campbell scores one on the aggressive base calling. Justin Hare pays off for a 1-0 lead.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities,
in our state, and throughout the world.
leaders in innovation,
leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Cade Boxrucker gets some run support in the first inning. It's got to be nice as a starting pitcher. He faces a Longwood team that's off to their best start in program history, and yet, with 3 of the last 4 losses, a team that has barely lost in the last 2 weeks, it's such a stark contrast coming in.
It is. Campbell just finding a way to get it done, starting to hit their peak. And, Longwood, anytime it's a baseball season, it's long, it's drawn out, it's never going to be uphill all the way there. And for them, just struggling a bit, but every team's going to have ebbs and flows over the course of the 56-game season.
Dylan Wilkinson will look to break that trend for Longwood, because now at 8-5, the race to get in the top 6 is wide open. There's 2 teams upstate in Campbell. They're at a higher tier, but then 3 through 8 is an absolute dogfight.
It is. You have to get them where you can get them and position yourself late to control your own destiny. And those teams are going to be chomping at the bit to get in. It's going to be who gets hot late, and just make sure that you position yourself to have a chance at it.
Chad Oxendine, the Longwood head coach, said yesterday, our backs are against the wall. I want to see how our team responds against a really good club. And there's a nice start. Wilkinson with a leadoff single for the Fairfax Virginia Pride.
I think they've responded well. A lot of energy here today. They weren't able to scratch a run across in the top of the first, but here answering back once more, continuing to put pressure.
Because Longwood's won series over High Point, A&T, Charleston Southern, lower tier teams. Now they face the big kahunas who hit 64 home runs.
It's a great test. Young team, some young players for Longwood, new coaching staff. They're buying into this new theories, and
this ain't an open book test. This is like a final exam.
It is. And are they ready for it? Who knows? Either way they come out of this, they'll understand where they stand in things and what it's going to take.
Hunter Gillum, who's the home run leader in the Big South. That is quite a race between Gillum and Peterson, back and forth. Grew up just 5 minutes from campus in Farmville, Virginia. He was an under-recruited prospect. Longwood was his only offer. And boy, has he made home cooking. 10 home runs, 36 RBI. Okay, this is where Campbell's gotten itself into trouble. They've allowed 75 stolen bases, and Longwood is the best team in the Big South at stealing. Case in point, foul ball there. And if you're Chad Oxendine, this has to be part of the equation, right? You have to put pressure on Babbitt in this battery.
It does. You don't want to give away outs and things of that nature, but they also understand as an offense, they're not going to be successful without it. They don't slug it like Campbell 1 through 9. They're going to have to get extra 90 feet where they can, create some opportunities on offense. So, absolutely, 0-2 count. I'd look for them to be aggressive here.
Runner bluffs. And there's a good slider. So Boxrucker, he doesn't need help from his base runners. There's a first down. Okay, so I know the runner is bluffing there, but does that affect the hitter at all in that count?
No, he will have no idea what's going on. A lot of the times it could be a fake steal sign. They could have talked about it before the game. It's up to the hitter to just try to fight off the pitch. If it's in the zone, fight it off and take anything outside. Just create a tough out at the plate.
Pearson nearly, oh, he does get him with the tag. I thought the runner was safe. Good tag there by Pearson.
I did too. I thought he was in there. Definitely a flinch either way.
Oh, how about that? His hand hit the turf.
It went up.
Yeah, it never actually touched the base.
Kind of bounced off the turf. And
oh, we're going to review this. I think that fan just said it best. Is there any argument that he's safe there, unless I'm missing something?
I'll argue it. I mean, even if I have to play devil's advocate a little bit, I definitely thought it was close.
This is going to be the best angle. Okay, so his hand is not on the base.
He's safe.
Wait.
I got him safe.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if you could tell if he missed the bag somehow, but I don't think. These are the angles the umpires are watching, by the way, so this is what everyone's seeing. The Jeopardy music's a good touch.
It's great.
Yeah, that seems to be safe.
First base umpire got a great look at it. What I don't understand is how do you not flinch? I mean, he's right in the throwing lane of that baseball, and he's glued to the action right there on first base. But I think he's going to sneak in there safe.
When you watch it, you change speeds like that. It's kind of interesting. You go from the slow angle to the full speed. I don't think any other camera would have a good angle on that.
I wouldn't think so.
Here we go. Decision time. So the call's overturned.
It was close. Bang, bang. We also have the opportunity to watch it in super, super slow-mo. But, I like the replay. I'm glad they got it right.
So now there's one out, a runner at first. So resetting things in this second inning. The slider stays outside. We've seen Boxrucker go 50% slider, 50% fastball. You wonder from an arm preservation standpoint, I know the slider can do some dangerous damage to your UCL and to your shoulder, how pitchers have gone away from changeups and curveballs that are a little less painful, quote unquote, over the course of time.
They are, but it's become a power game really on both sides of the baseball. Batters are trying to slug it and pitchers are trying to throw it firm at the top of the zone, and they're trying to throw power sliders that, yeah, they're tough on the elbow, but if that's what it takes to be successful, everybody's playing this game for the same reason, and as long as your body's built to withstand that, you should be in decent shape.
And there's the slider again. Boy, that's become a favorite pitch for Cade Boxrucker. He's the #1 rated prospect in the 24 draft, so a couple years away for a true sophomore arm that has excelled in moments. But he's also been hurt a ton of his career, coming off an ankle injury this spring. And a line drive by Dolberry gets down. The outfield really deep. So now first and second with one out.
If you're going to get to Boxrucker, that's the pitch you're going to do it on. Fastball, middle that was absolutely tagged, and just not a great pitch, but a nice job of hitting, driving that ball into left field, pick up the single.
Here brings up my favorite name in college baseball. You don't want to get too enamored with last names and some pleasantries, but C.J. Falkenberry, whose sister actually plays softball at North Carolina, so a full circle moment here for the Falkenberry clan out of Woodbridge, Virginia. I imagine a castle and a moat is part of his growing up. Not to poke too much fun. And he whiffs on the breaking ball. What was the favorite name you ever interacted with?
I'm trying to look back, and my total name that I just really enjoyed, and it would pain a lot of my teammates if I admit it, but probably Skybolt. All first team.
Sounds like a superhero name.
First team all name, Skybolt. Played for North Carolina.
How about Itchy Burt's from Corpus Christi?
That's a good one. That's top notch as well.
It's the parents thinking of the last name and then combining the right first name, too.
Right.
I've met some folks named Abraham Lincoln, with the Lincoln last name. There's a base hit for Falkenberry. And now Longwood has tied it. 3 straight hits, and the Lancers are back in business. Despite the awkward slide, it evens us at 1.
That's just a bunch of good swings in a row, stringing it together. They're not going to slug it, but they're going to be an aggressive offense. A slider that's just left up.
Okay, let's see if our director gives us the slide here. Oh, yeah, watch this. Skadoosh. That's a whole lot of turf.
That's full send on a no-throw play to home. I mean,
well, where's your teammate there to help you out and say, hey, you're in standing?
You'd think, I mean, hey, it may be part of this new aggressive mindset that they have.
Chad Oxendine keeps a stopwatch in his back pocket. He times every runner to the bases. Here's a stolen base, and that is easy 90 feet. So there you go. He put the stopwatch to work, and Dolberry snags third.
I don't doubt it. In the conversation we had with him, he said it's all about math and hustle, and if you don't run anything out, you're out of the lineup. And these guys have hustled. They've been flying around the base paths, and with his stopwatch, to him, it's just a math equation. Either the times make sense or they don't.
Longwood has upped its stolen base totals by 30 from one year to the next. 67 steals for the Lancers. A team that's been a lot more small ball oriented, which has really helped their success. And there's a bunt attempt. Again, this is not the offensive Longwood of previous years, where a team that finished 11th last year, missed the playoffs in 3 straight years. A little different equation now at 8-5. They're playing a brand that's winnable baseball.
It's almost West Coast style offense. Not a ton of slug it. It's going to be a productive, thought out, diverse offense that bunts, a little bit of power, a little bit of stolen bases, and it's vastly different from the Longwood of years past, who tried to get a bunch of home run hitters and slug it. They struck out a ton and weren't overly efficient in their offensive approach on a week-to-week basis. And
as Longwood tries to dethrone the 3-time champions, their last win over Campbell was your senior day, May of 2017.
I appreciate the reminder.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while, but I like where they're at. I like the product I'm seeing.
Not to pour salt on the wound, but you struck out with the bases loaded in the 9th, and the game went to extras as Boxrucker walks the bases juiced.
I think I had a poor day on the mound that day, too, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't have the box score in front of me.
No, I could probably recite most of the statistics.
Are you Sean McVay-esque? I've always wondered with baseball players, because I know when I played, the recollection of, okay, this hitter, I could tell you every at-bat he had, but I couldn't always string it together the whole game.
I could still tell you a lot of the sequences I got in a lot of at-bats. So I still remember the pitch-by-pitch, fastball, breaking ball, changeup. Yeah, a lot of it stuck with me.
This seems to be a Papa calming down his cub out there on the mound. Robinson speaking to Boxrucker. It's a new enhanced role for Tyler. 3rd year as the full-time pitching coach, and these are a lot of the players he's recruited and helped build their confidence.
He's getting old. He knows these guys. He's recruited these guys. A lot of these guys are going to look up to him, and you're right, look to him as almost a father figure. They're so far away from home. And
because the seniors on this team, he was an assistant, a volunteer at that point. Now he's the full-time pitching coach, and this team's led the conference in ERA 2 of the last 3 years.
He's done a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic job. Changed pretty much the way that Campbell went about pitching and recruiting pitchers, and they're reaping the benefits of that now.
The big crown jewel is Thomas Harrington, a possible first-round pick, as Hayden Harris takes a strike. After the loss in the regional to East Carolina, this was 3 years ago, Hare and Robinson had a conversation about how do we win? How do we get to the next level? And they noted high-quality arms and velocity. So they've gone out and recruited it with guys like Cade Boxruck.
It was definitely the right call. They were winning in the Big South, winning conference championships, but getting to regionals and not having the stable of arms that could work through that next caliber of offense. And I think they hit the nail on the head. Let's go sign velocity. Let's bring in power arms. We'll teach them how to pitch. And it seems like every guy that Campbell runs out throws at least 91, 92.
We saw Cam O'Brien last night touch 95 for a true sophomore walk-on. As this slider gets a big punch out, so the meeting works out nice for the second out.
Good time to have a meeting. Anytime you have a young pitcher, it's good. I mean, the stuff's there for Boxrucker. Go out, calm them down. It looked like the game was getting sped up on them just a bit. Everything was elevated, but that slider, too plain once more, seems to have found it.
So here's Michael Peterson. He is quite a speed threat. Which you almost wonder if you're box rucker, would you rather have the bases loaded so your defense can make an easy play versus trying to gun out the fastest runner in the conference?
It never really bothers you as a pitcher with the bases loaded and 2 outs. For me, it was always a whole lot simpler. There's not going to be any motion on the base pass. There's not much to worry about. Just buckle down, get your hitter, and if you hit him.
Well, a hit by pitch gives Longwood the lead. That's a gifted run.
That, I guess, is when the bases loaded come back to bite you. Nowhere to put them, and Longwood adding to the tally.
And that's not even close. I love watching these in slow motion. Ooh.
Yeah, that's nowhere close. He missed the
right off the tricep.
Missed the spot there by 2 feet or so, and
Boxrucker worked out of a walk, stranded a man at third in the first inning. Now the base is loaded for Jack Schnell. This is walking the tightrope. This is a fine line for Cade Boxrucker. It's also just a tough ask for a sophomore making his second start of the year. And nothing's been easy. A lot of that's self-inflicted, I will give you that. And here's Jack Schnell, who's quite a power hitter, 5 home runs. Has scored as many runs as he's driven in, 25 each, so clearly productive.
I love the ask of Boxrucker. We got to see guys like Harrington grow up so much in the regional, and this is how you learn. You throw these guys in the fire to see, you know the stuff's there, but is the mental makeup there yet? We don't know, and throw them out there, throw them in the fire. That's how you grow up quick and, possibly develop a pitcher overnight. If he gets himself in too much trouble, you have fairly deep bullpen to go in there and bail him out of a situation.
After Harrington went 6 scoreless yesterday, the bullpen's really rested. But now Longwood with a lead, trying to extend it for Jack Schnell. And he misses. So Boxrucker back to the breaking ball. And Longwood has a lead through 1.5 here in game 2.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive.
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
So this Campbell offense has some work to do down a run. Drake Peterson and company, second in the conference in home runs. And a little different perspective here in game 2 because these key hitters, Pearson and Neto, are going to be asked to do a lot today against a very resilient Longwood offense.
They are, but they've been clicking. Those are 2 guys in this lineup that have been hitting a lot and putting up big damage numbers when they're doing so. So get guys on base in front of them and let the 2 big bangers do their job.
Carrying a Campbell offense that is projected a number 4 seed in the Statesboro Regional. Oh, man, Pearson got a nice drive on this one. The wind carrying it deep and off the wall. Drake Pearson just flipped a double, 370 feet.
That's a big man right there. Doesn't even get all of it, but able to get enough just off the edge. If he gets enough barrel, this ball's probably gone, but 380-foot doubles are accepted for this offense. Great start to answer back that 2 spot in the top of the second.
70th double for this Campbell team. They're chasing Tennessee for the nation's lead in doubles. Coach Vitello's club. Think about the regional matchup that could be slotted in. Tennessee and Georgia Southern, the 1 and the 16. Could be a Camel versus Knoxville regional with the Volunteers if things play out that way. Auburn and Wofford predicted in that regional, along with Georgia Southern, the hosts. Here's Ty Babin, who's been to 3 regionals in his 5 years. Now puts down a bunt back to the pitcher. Well, and the throw results in a mistake. Warnick, that's self-inflicted.
It is. Not a great bunt by Babin. Fortunately for him, gets away with it, but bunts it essentially right back at Warnick. Doesn't have a play at third, but...
And he gives himself up, like he's not trying to get on there.
It's always tough when you're throwing 15, 20, 30 pitches down a slope. All of a sudden you get one on flat ground, and that ball does have a tendency to sail, and right there just sailing it up the line a bit, and enough for Babin to sneak in there safe at first.
Wow, some gifted runners for Campbell today. And that's the last thing Longwood can afford is mental mishaps. First error of the series for the Lancers. And now a squeeze bunt. Arias gets it down. They try the exact same thing, and it scores the tying run.
Waldy Arias, so creative, so versatile. Starting to slug it a bit this year, but this time the safety squeeze bunt executed to perfection. What a great tool to have at the bottom end of that lineup.
Given that Campbell scores 10 runs a game, I am a bit surprised Justin Hare going for the small ball approach today.
I think he understands that you got to take him where you can get him. This is a Longwood team that has come out today and largely been aggressive. They've put up 2 in the top of the second, kind of punched Campbell in the mouth early, if you will, and it's important to get those back. Just hang around. At some point, I think they're depending on those big hitters to hit one over the wall, hit a double, pick up a couple crooked numbers in the middle of this game. But you don't want to fall behind early and give away runs. So I like the idea there. Guarantee one comes across.
Tyler Halstead tries a bunt, and now Justin Hare is just playing mind games with Warnick on the mound. We saw the error a minute ago. Now another bunt. And this has to be demoralizing as a pitcher if you continue to see the same problem over and over again.
It can definitely be a problem until it's not. If you field the bunt, you throw it, you make your out at first base, all of a sudden that problem tends to go away. Coaches don't want to give away too many outs.
Oh, my gosh. Here's the bunt for Halstead. That stays fair, and everyone's safe.
So it was really interesting there. Great bunt, beautiful execution right down the first base line. This is a hit. Nobody is going to be out, but I was surprised to see Corbin McLeod pick that baseball up. I thought initially it was going to roll foul until I saw the base runner coming around third base.
Well, that's the question. Is it the threat of Babin scoring that makes you have to go for that decision?
It is, because McLeod and Warnick were both looking at that baseball, nobody covering home. I think if they continue to let that baseball roll and it does stay fair, he scores.
How about that? A run scored on a bunt squeeze. Now a bunt single. And quite the challenge for Mr. Warnick on the mound, the true freshman. Now if Belbin goes for the bunt, then Justin Hare's just playing tricks. He's playing chess when everyone's playing checkers.
He is. I wouldn't hate to see it again. They've had a lot of success with it this inning. They're applying pressure. They're bunting it in great places and forcing Longwood to make plays. Sure, bunt another one.
Justin Hare guiding the fifth-year senior over there at third base. His biggest bunt was in the Big South tournament 4 years ago. Oh, Babin fell for the bluff, and he gets back in time. So nearly picked off there by McLeod.
It was a really good bluff. A lot of times catchers will fake their throw down to second, and at third base you can see it from a mile away. But that one, I was actually caught looking for the ball to come out, and I wasn't alone as Babin almost got hung out to dry over there at third base.
So now on the stolen base, second and third. That's Campbell's 64th steal of the year. These two teams both in the top 50 in the country at running, which makes plays like that so important. You never want it to be a busy inning for a catcher, and McLeod has had to earn it here in the second. Longwood took the lead for about 3 seconds, and a squeeze bunt has tied it. Now Belbin gives Campbell the lead on an RBI ground out. So that scores Ty Babin. How about a squeeze and a ground out to bring in 2?
That's when hitting is fun, when the job becomes so simple right there. Belbin understanding you don't need a double here to do your job. Just take what's given to you. And the soft ground ball to the middle of the field does the job. Beautiful ground ball RBI from Belbin.
So here's Lawson Harrell with 2 outs. Of course, his single scored the first run for Campbell. And now Warnick, who did not get an out in his last start, is experiencing that type of emotion and trouble here in the second inning after cruising to the first. Can make this Campbell offense so challenging. That stays up.
That's something he's going to have to learn as a pitcher. Not every start is going to go your way. The best baseball players learn from their mistakes and then have an exceptionally short memory. Wipe it away and move on, and don't let the emotions get the best of you.
This could be playable here for Gillum, who retreats and hangs on. Nice defense from the Lancers. Campbell scores 2 in a back-and-forth game in Game 2.
Woo! Papa John's just took their fresh, never frozen dough in hand, stretched it into thin, oversized New York-style slices. I mean, look at that crust. That is the perfect crust thickness no matter how you eat it. So you can fold it or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it. Get a New York-style pizza from Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
In sports,
We are used to an even playing field.
Unfortunately,
Off the field,
court,
track,
Coast.
not all people are treated fairly.
In the Big South Conference,
we commit to using our voices.
To oppose injustices and inequalities.
Join us as we champion change.
Towards ensuring even playing fields.
In and out of sports.
the Big South Conference,
We're allies.
We're advocates. Where winners are made.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
5 weeks to go in the regular season, and a couple of teams are pulling away in the conference pool. So Campbell at 12-1, Longwood now at 8-5. There's a huge race to avoid getting in the mesh or the pileup of cars in the middle of the league.
There is, and Longwood starting their season off so well. They need to ensure that they don't waste all that goodwill that they started early and try to stay in that top third of the conference just to position yourself in case something happens late. Anything can happen in baseball, and at 8-4 facing Campbell, top team in the conference, you don't want to let things get away from you at this point in the season.
Those were the standings entering the weekend. And at 12-1, Campbell has etched itself some firm space in the top of the league. You'd love to go into the final weekend as a conference champ. It's hard to do at any conference, especially with Campbell not playing next weekend. They'll take off for semester finals. It's that time of the year where I think teams get better when classes are done, not to diminish the academic impact, but it certainly opens up players' schedules.
It does, and usually guys will start to get bored early on in the days. As soon as classes start to go away, they'll get bored, and so you'll see them doing extra work, early work. Guys will spend 4, 5, 6 extra hours at the field just kind of hanging out, being around the ballpark, and it's usually a fun time of year to be a baseball player.
Cade Boxrucker's had a tough outing in his second start of the year, back-to-back weeks. And how about Justin Hare, who takes Cade Keeler out of the rotation, moves him to the midweek, and brings in a talented but untested arm right in the middle of conference play?
They've got such a big lead in conference. I think it's a great time to do it, especially if you have a guy that's inspiring confidence in you like Boxrucker. If they can bring him along, they become a substantially better team. But if they continue to shield him from the big moments, it's just going to hinder his development. And
whoa, Ryan went around. And how about that for a strikeout?
That's a high fastball. I don't know that Ryan expected it. Definitely a misread out of the hand, but this is a fastball just off the shoulder, up and in, and
he tries to check, but
tries to check, and then there's a bit of self-preservation mode that comes in as that ball just kind of rides onto his hands.
Because there's really no way else to avoid that pitch.
There's not.
You don't want to turn into it.
Once you start going, you know as a hitter you're in a bad place, and there's not much you can do about it.
And when it's 93 coming at you up and in, it's almost a genius pitch, right? 2-2.
Absolutely.
And you force the hitter to make a decision.
And a lot of that is set up by the big breaking ball, not the slider, but the big vertical curveball. They come out on the same plane just above the top of the zone, and typically you see that kind of mechanism from a hitter when they're expecting the breaking ball. They think they see it, but that four-seam fastball just continues to ride up and in. And I've been there. As a hitter, it's tough. You're just kind of along for the ride at that point.
And that's the 50th pitch for Cade Boxrucker. It's been effectively wild today, mixing in 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 runs. Sort of the smorgasbord you get with a sophomore here in Boxrucker.
You know, I feel like we say it every time he throws, but the stuff is there. It's just a matter of helping him control the game, control his emotions. Most of his damage is self-inflicted from free passes, falling behind in counts, and they're a lot of arm side miss. So the development's coming along, and one of these days he's going to has the potential to be absolutely a world beater on the mound. It's just a matter of not being his own worst enemy when he's up there.
So he's worked the count to 3-1 on Wilkinson. That touches the top of the zone, and now an awkward walk back to the plate. I would not line to be a hitter in the. You can point to your chest all you want, but that's a tough ask for any hitter.
It's a little late to ask for forgiveness from the umpire on that one. They do not enjoy that show.
So anything over the plate's a strike. And Wilkinson makes sure to avoid that moment.
I think it's best to swing. If you think it's close, you're probably not going to be on the friendly side of a call.
Umpires don't hold grudges, but they do have great memories.
That's exactly right. That's a great way to put it.
And the memory may come back to bite Wilkinson here.
And I will say Babin is behind the plate. Friendly guy. He's back there trying to win as many points as he can.
Good swing there by Wilkinson, so he grounds out. You almost have to swing at that pitch, right? Because it's probably a ball, but you can't take the chance.
It always is until it's not, and that's typically the time you take it. That breaking ball hangs up just a touch, so you're exactly right. That one does dive, but better to be aggressive there. I think it's still a pitch you can get barrel on, and it is still tough to hit, but you absolutely have to swing. You don't want to be standing there with the bat on your shoulder.
On a weekend where Campbell has solidified itself as the #1 team in the conference. Nice base hit there for Hunter Gillum. Longwood tries to join the party in the midst of Upstate and then who, right? There's a big gap between 1, 2, and everybody else. So if Longwood could steal a win this weekend, they may solidify themselves as a big player.
They could, and a lot of it revolves around that guy right there, Gillum. And is he going to continue to drive the baseball against a good Campbell pitching staff? If he does so, they have a chance. But I like what I've seen from Longwood. Look, it's early in the series, but they look good. I mean, they look competitive. They're very athletic. They're creating a lot of pressure situations, and they're pressing the issue against Campbell. We see a lot of teams kind of get their back up against the wall early in the weekend series, but here Longwood just continuing. They've had runners on every inning so far. They're trying to steal bases. They're creating opportunities for themselves.
And a good use of the slider there by Boxrucker. So he gets the sign, he takes a peek, he looks to the runner, big deep breath. And Dolberry will wait for his moment. He singled and scored just last inning. And there's a spiked breaking ball. So that whole exchange takes 35 seconds between pitches. And you do wonder, in the new Major League rules, that would be considered an illegal pitch and result in a ball starting next year. The minor league games implemented the 20-second pitch with runners on, 18 seconds with nobody on, and it sped up the game by an average of 20 minutes here in the first month.
I like the idea. I think baseball is such a great game, but at times it gets dull even for the people that are fascinated with it. It's just too slow and drawn out, especially a lot of people not huge fans of where the offensive side of the game has gone with a ton of strikeouts and everybody trying to slug. So I like the idea, speed the game up, keep people involved.
The 2-1 is fouled off towards us. I mean, to your point, we're at 58 minutes here in the top of the third. Your average baseball game is 1 hour for 3 innings, 3-hour game. And this game's had some scoring, don't get me wrong, but at times it feels like the bottom of the ninth in the World Series.
It does. It's so, I don't know, just intricate in its details. And you have a young pitcher on the mound as well that you're almost, in a sense, trying to nurse through the first 3 innings of this game. Make sure that they're controlled and they don't get out of hand so he can pitch deeper. Theoretically, once he settles in, he'll be able to continue at a good pace for another 2 or 3 innings, and you can get him through 5 or 6, but that's going to slow the tempo down as well.
When you compare last night to what Thomas Harrington did, 6 innings of brilliance, he earned his 9th win. That's the best in the country. It's a really different challenge when you go from stud All-American to talented question mark, I think is a good way to put it.
Great way to put it. Definitely talented, but definitely 110% different in your approach.
This pop-up should end the inning for Lawson Harrell. So, a scoreless third for Cade Boxrucker, and his offense goes to work with a 1-run lead when we come back.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
So Zach Neto and this offense, they have been cruising in the month of April, a .350 batting average. This offense has become dynamic here in the last month.
They have, and I don't know that anybody's going to benefit from it more than Zach Neto himself, finally having 8 guys around him that can protect him, set up situations for him to drive in runs. So they've really come along, and I expect Zach Neto to keep kind of enjoying the benefits of that solid offense around him.
The fruits of his labor, if
exactly.
you will. Because Neto has been walked a ton this year, leads the Big South by 10 walks of any other player. So he reaches base at a high clip, but he doesn't get pitched to very often. So Zach Neto, he hits in the 3 spot. He's actually led off innings 29 times. Not very common in the 3 spot. He's hitting .571 to lead off an inning. Exhibit A, there's a line drive base hit. That might be 2. Nice cutoff by Dolberry. Neto tests it, and the throw is offline, so Neto takes the double. Is that a suit?
I guess not a bad leadoff hitter to have either. Jumping on a fastball, middle, low. Not a bad pitch from Warnick. And out there in center field, Dolberry does a great job getting this baseball, getting it in. But since it's offline, Neto able to slide in safely. I thought if that throws online, he's got Neto by 2 steps.
And that's a call Justin Hare's a big fan of, right?
Huge
Letting
fan.
his runners go for it.
Huge fan. Be aggressive. Force guys to make plays. I mean, if he gets hosed there at second base, Coach Hare's going to give him a high five on his way into the dugout. Hey, man, way to press the issue there. They made a great play, so what?
Here's Logan Jordan, who did not need help from the defense. 2 home runs yesterday. And he had 2 gigantic bat flips and stare downs of the balls that left the park. This is where a true freshman, Kevin Warnick, could get into trouble. Umpire escorting Jordan into the box. I appreciate that. Thank you, Bobby Dunnigan. Now the stare down contest begins. Who's going to blink first? Because part of pitching at the next level, or excelling at the higher college game or the minor leagues, is being able to work through these moments, but also, if you want to be a starter at the next level, you got to work deep into games quickly. You can't take 30 minutes a half inning.
You can, and a lot of it starts with game management. Don't allow the situation to become bigger than it is. It doesn't matter. So what? Neto hits a double, runner on second. You've got Logan Jordan up. Doubt he bunts. So just execute your pitches. Try to get him into the game plan that you set up for him, and just live with the results. Execute your pitches.
Oh, Neto take a great jump, and he easily steals third. Boy, that was sharp base running by Neto.
In the moment, just kind of sneaking away from Longwood in that moment. I think everybody could see Neto was itching to go, hopping around at second base, trying to put the secondary lead together.
I didn't hear a defender say he's
I didn't
going.
hear a thing. And he actually left early. I didn't hear a step off or a runner. And Warnick at that point had been staring at Jordan for the better part of 3 to 5 seconds.
And now he gives up a ground ball. Good snag by Wilkinson. That saves a run.
So really good.
Yeah.
Poised over there by Wilkinson at third base. Really a poor at bat there by Logan Jordan. You cannot hit to the corners with a runner on third and nobody out, but great pitch, great execution. Wilkinson comes up with that baseball. Neto was actually testing him, pushing down the line. Wilkinson staring him down long enough to force him to retreat a little bit and delivering a strike over to first base for the first out of the inning.
So Connor Denning hits from the right side, where he's 364. Really good from this side of the plate. Looking for a squeeze, and Neto comes to the plate. He is out by a mile. Great play by Warnick.
That's when the small ball comes back to bite you. Not a great bunt by Denning. Squares early, bunts it pretty firmly right back to Warnick. Glove flip, and Neto knows no chance there. Tag applied by
And you
McLeod.
got to push that to the corners, right? If you're Denning?
Absolutely. That's on a suicide squeeze, anything fair is fine because the runner's breaking on the pitch. But on the safety squeeze, Neto also doesn't get a great jump and doesn't get a great read. He should not have gone to the plate, but not great execution from Denning, bunting that ball straight back to Warnick on the mound.
This is the risk-reward offense that Justin Hare has taken at times. You know, when your team scores 10 runs a game, you wonder, hey, where does small ball play a factor? But he's willing to experiment with it.
Great idea. I mean, the small ball's worked so far, but Denning not looking like a very experienced bunter. Ball down in the zone. Instead of keeping his angle set, almost reaching, stabbing at the baseball, loses his angle, and at that point it was all said and done.
There's a big whiff by Drake Pearson. Which makes hitting with runners in scoring position that much harder, right? It's an immense challenge now for Peterson. 2 outs, a man at first. One thing Justin Hare has told us on countless occasions, he'll live with the aggressiveness, whether good or bad. He just wants courage and conviction.
And they got that. I mean, Neto made the aggressive play. The only part where he's going to get himself in trouble is he didn't make the right read. He didn't even believe it. It was kind of a hesitant aggression. Anytime you're hesitant in anything in baseball, you're wrong. Just got a funny way of working out that way.
There's a breaking ball for a strikeout. So Warnick plays good defense. He gets a punch out and keeps it a 1-run game.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paulstown exclusive.
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
So Longwood's had a great start in the Big South, 8-5. They were picked dead last in the conference. And boy, is this a streaky team. You lose 10 straight, you win 5 straight, and Chad Oxendine has ridden that roller coaster all year long.
They have. A lot of it is just coming along in the theories that Oxendine is passing along and getting people to buy into it. And I think at this point it's proven that it works. They need to buy in. They need to find a way to do it on a week-to-week basis. They haven't found it yet. But what a start, what a way for Coach to come in and kind of transform this program. This is a different team, very much so, than it has been in years past. They've done a great job.
Chad Oxendine, 16 years as an assistant. This is his first year as the head coach. And he said, we just have to play hard and grind. So he challenges his players every day in practice to grind it out. And that's maybe why we're seeing the score like this today. 2 clubs that have had great years in the conference, and nothing will come easy today.
They're just a bunch of hungry guys. I mean, they never look satisfied with their at-bats, with their stolen bases. They want more. They want to go after it. They want to beat Campbell, and rightfully so. They're just a aggressive group of very athletic players that are learning to play in a new system.
Cole, you were on a Campbell team that was unheralded and finished middle of the league. You were on a team that had championship aspirations. What's the difference between being the undercard and the main ticket?
Culture. Culture is the only difference. Great pitch there from Boxrucker going back to the slider. But the teams that have the culture find a way to win.
And teams that have not had the culture, like Longwood, when Oxendine was the assistant for the Lancers, they made the Big South final, lost to Coastal Carolina. But now Longwood wants to get back to that point consistently, not just as a one-time fluke.
He does, and in the conversation that we had with him earlier this week, I told him I thought he was contagious. His energy was insane. It was a bunch of fun. I'm obviously partial to Coach Hare. I played for him, but I want to go play for Oxendine. I mean, he's a guy that I can get behind through and through, and I think recruiting-wise, if you go visit Longwood and you talk to that man, you're gonna want to sign up there and go play baseball for him.
It's a program that doesn't have the bells and whistles of this ballpark. It doesn't have the academic background of, say, a High Point. So Oxendine knows the challenges of recruiting kids to Farmville. But he also grew up in Robertson County, which is 30 minutes from here. He knows small towns and likes that atmosphere for his team.
He does, and they play like a team that doesn't have all the bells and whistles, if that makes sense. And he mentioned that in a piece, is that they're very blue-collar. They're a hard work group of people. That is their culture. That's what they pride themselves on, is how grindy and hard that they work on a day-in and day-out basis. They refuse to go away.
Boxrucker misses for ball 3. And they face, sort of, now, the Jolly Green Giants of the Big South. Campbell's won 3 straight regular seasons, 2 tournament titles. There's really no team that's had the national resume that Campbell has. And if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, as Ric Flair would say.
You do. You got to come in, you got to punch him in the mouth, understand that the Campbell team's going to punch back.
This is punched off the end of the bat. And Logan Jordan's there for the second out.
It's interesting, though, because not too long ago, Campbell was the team without any of the bells and whistles. This is a program that came essentially from nothing. They were not nationally known. They were not very well thought of, even regionally.
This wasn't necessarily an elite ballpark either.
No, and they started to win. They built a culture. Coach Hare took over and continued to build upon the culture that was here and has done a great job. Now, in doing so, they've been able to get the bells and whistles. So the challenge for them is, how do we retain the blue-collar, hard work culture that we were built on and so successful with, now that we really have everything that a college program could ever need?
And maybe the best way to do it is getting punched in the mouth and starting 1-6, which we saw Campbell get swept by Maryland, lose home games to App State and ECU, and that kick-started the change.
It does. Back when I was here, we were getting some chippy junior college kids that were overlooked or either not overlooked or not that great, and so it's easy for them to be chippy and hardworking. They know they have to be. Now that you're getting, just about any recruit you want.
A freshman in Boxrucker who throws 95 last year.
They got it. They have everyone they want. They have all the tools to make them successful. So how do you make them chippy? I think you're exactly right. Bring 5-6 teams in here that punch them in the mouth and let them know it's a different game at this level. They've responded.
Well, think about
very
this
well.
week alone. Campbell's played North Carolina, Duke, and Longwood. And no offense to Longwood, that's a whole different tier of organization, of talent level, and really just of reputation, which is half the battle.
It is. And Campbell right now, coming off 3 consecutive regional appearances, they're almost right in the middle. They're clawing. They're trying to chew their way into that ACC competition. Some of those big-name schools, they can compete with them, but they want to be thought of with them as well.
As Boxrucker hits Hayden Harris, remember Campbell's strength of schedule in the non-conference, top 30 in the country. But with a Big South league that doesn't have the high-level RPI or things of that nature, it almost makes the bulk of your non-conference schedule balance out with a not-so-difficult in-conference.
It does. And
whoa, it is bat. Wait a second.
I think the umpire was saying it hit the shoulder and then hit the bat. He called it, I believe, dead. It looked like almost immediately. I thought it was a foul ball because it did hit the bat, but it appears to have been called that it hit the shoulder prior to hitting the bat. I do think you're right, though, about the scheduling of the non-conference schedule. Was the way the Big South is formulated this year. Winning the conference and not winning the tournament is not going to be enough to claim an at-large bid. To have the RPI where you want it to be, to get into the tournament. So,
and you usually need to be inside the top 40 in RPI to make an at-large. Maybe top 50 if you have some big wins. Campbell right now is at 68. That's probably not good enough right now.
I would agree. As much goodwill as they've developed by performing well in recent regionals, I don't think that number is going to be enough. They've also lost some good teams and some good series that I don't know that they're going to be able to overcome in the long run. I think it's going to be win the tournament for them to continue playing or go home.
And Justin Hare noted this offseason, it's about winning in regional play. Every regular season win's great, but that's why he schedules top 25 Maryland, ACC opponents, goes and plays teams like Ohio State, of that higher caliber, because those are the teams you'll play in a regional and not necessarily insert Canisius, insert Little Sisters of the Poor, programs that aren't going to be a regional level team.
Right. And I think a big piece of that is getting rid of sticker shock. When you walk into North Carolina Chapel Hill and you see North Carolina on the jersey, those are teams that you've watched on TV for years. You go into Mississippi State and there's, 10,000 fans there, a beautiful stadium, and a team that's highly thought of in the college ranks. You want a team that has seen those opponents and isn't going to go in and be overwhelmed by the moment because they haven't had those experiences throughout the year.
Which makes this part of the schedule challenging because you can't look ahead to the May 25th conference tournament. You have to win the games now to give yourself any bit of record or momentum to do well in the tournament. There's a runner heading off for second and a stolen base for the Lancers. Is Waddy allowed to do that?
I want to see this replay coming up to see what his positioning was, because to answer your question, I wasn't sure in watching it live.
Because clearly the ball gets past.
So that answer is no. The answer is no. He is not allowed to block the bag without possession of the baseball. So that would have been an illegal play no matter what. Yes.
Yeah. That's Harris's second steal of the weekend. Now the 1-2.
And some could call it, an interesting play, but when
and the idea is the ball comes in on a line, and then you're there, boom, to make the tag.
It is, but coming from a guy that didn't run well, if you block the bag when somebody like me was coming down the line, it's a feet first slide.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for it. So there's ways to teach infielders not to block the bag. Head first slides usually aren't the way to do it.
Okay, so Peterson just had a word for somebody in the Campbell dugout as he works his way back into the box. Must be an advocate for pace of play. One-run game here in the fourth. There's a line drive to center. Halstead, out of his mitt. That's a base hit. Peterson gets a double out of it, and Longwood has tied it.
Well, if you're going to talk about it, you better be about it. And right here, Peterson backing it up. Little flare just off the end of the bat. Halstead not able to come up with it. It looks like he just short hops his glove on the diving attempt and
just off the breadbasket.
How big was the stolen base now? Creates, an extra run. Longwood ties this game up. The aggressive approach pays off once more, but Peterson also with heads-up base running, able to push that into second base. So once again with a runner in scoring position and trying to pick up a 2-out RBI to take the lead once more.
Longwood's first 2-out hit of this game, and very timely at that. So here's Jack Schnell, the double leader in the Big South. He grounds into the shift. That'll end the inning. Not before Longwood ties it. Michael Peterson with a clutch double, not to sit 3 as we go to the bottom half.
not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities,
in our state, and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
Great crowd in attendance today, and Longwood has tied it with a run in the top of the fourth. Here with Cole Hallam, I'm Evan Budrovich with you for Game 2 of this weekend set. Campbell's won 9 straight matchups against the Lancers. Well, a much different story here in Game 2.
It is. Longwood has come to play. I think Warnick has been pretty good on the mound, is able to pitch his way around some big situations and keep the damage to 3 and giving his offense a chance to scratch back a few runs at a time. And they've done exactly that, responded, and 3-3 game here, bottom 4, ton of fun back and forth. So look for them to continue pressing the issue on offense as well, as long as Warnick's able to limit the offensive damage from Campbell.
Under the guidance of Coach Chad Oxendine, this team has found its confidence. He was a former assistant at Coastal Carolina, a program that won a national title and won multiple Sun Belt Conference championships. He brings that swagger to a Longwood team that had finished in the bottom 3 4 straight years. That's a hard stretch to overcome as their strike 2. Even just the mental hurdle of overcoming that is so impressive for Longwood now at 8-5 in the league.
It is, but they go out and make a quality hire. They bring in a guy with a proven track record. As soon as he steps in the clubhouse with his resume, he demands respect. His tone demands respect, and all the work he's done just positions him well.
That ball took a chunk of turf off the ground and a nice 4-3 putout. Both these teams have improved defensively. Last year, both were in the bottom 100 in the country in fielding, and that's not winning baseball. We've seen a little better here this weekend.
We have defense. So important just to limit opportunities. When you turn on regional baseball, there's usually good pitching and clean defense in the team that scores enough.
And there's one game that's 17-13 because the pitchers are burned out.
Right. The game just before that championship match is everybody's spent. Yeah. Everybody's spent.
Sometimes those elimination finals can be brutal at times. It's guys who've never pitched, or sometimes hitters that have just gotten hot in a week and they hit 3 home runs in a game.
Those are usually fun to watch.
As we told you, latest projections, Campbell a number 4 seed at Georgia Southern. There'll be projections for the next month. Selection Monday is Labor Day, so we got a long way to go. And yet with 5 weeks, you can – wait, hold on. Is there a broken piece of turf? Uh-oh. Oh. Well, turf is glued down or stapled to the ground. Looks like it just popped up. Great shot by our crew. I mean, that is the far back corner of the batter's box. Do you just slide up a little bit?
Absolutely not.
Or do you slide back?
No, you stand right on top of it. I could feel if I was off a centimeter in the batter's box. You just feel uncomfortable. You stand in the same spot every time.
Now, whereas with dirt, typically there's guys moving it around or kicking the dirt. You can't really do the same with turf. So if that turf's out of the ground, it's going to be out all game.
It is. You just have to get over it, because if you move, you're going to be uncomfortable on where you're standing. And if you're uncomfortable in your setup, everything else changes from there. The way you see the baseball changes. It's just
Now Waldy chops it into the ground. I wonder if you could fix that. Could you bring in a patch of turf and then stomp it into the ground? Or how do you fix broken turf?
So if it's ripped and it's come out and it cannot be, I guess you could say, fixed, they will have patches of turf that are specifically for the batter's boxes. So they can replace them. They can pop one in tonight, I would guess, with their crew, and make sure that it's ready to play tomorrow.
Okay, so that was the bigger issue. The shoelaces are untied. There's a lot going through Waldy's mind right now. Seems to be a lot harder to hit. Umpire telling him to get in the box. Turf loose, shoelaces untied. Hey, he did move his foot. He moved it farther back.
He did.
Oh, God. Good luck on the 3-2. And he rips it foul. The PA announcer introduced the next hitter behind you. I don't know how you focus if you're Arias.
There's been a lot of everything but an at-bat going on during this at-bat.
So another 3-2. It's popped out of play. And now Waldy's in basically what, self-defense mode? I mean, anything he's trying to hack at.
He is. There's probably 100 things going on in his mind. He's not standing where he wants to stand.
Semester finals are next week.
That's right.
The turf's loose. My shoelaces are untied. The umpire's barking at me. See that bull bump behind his right foot? I mean, it's clearly come out of the ground. And Waldy chops it right off the turf. Oh, my gosh, what a throw! And Wilkinson guns him out.
What a play by Wilkinson. I thought off the bat, this ball bouncing the better part of probably 30 feet straight up in the air. And a good runner in Arias, but what arm strength by Wilkinson. Beautiful transfer. Waldy thought he had it too out of the box. That's a really nice play over there at third base by Wilkinson. The transfer was what set that up. He gets that ball out of his glove and airborne in no time, but the arm strength impressive as well.
So I realize turf plays somewhat like dirt, but that ball skyrocketed. That does not happen on a dirt infield.
Turf
called a ball.
Turf plays a lot like grass until it doesn't, and it doesn't quite often. It's just you have to know how to play on turf because the bounces are all different. They're all very true.
Faster.
It's faster. It'll skip. It's more receptive to spin.
Halstead goes against the shift and gets Campbell's 6th hit of the day. I wonder if players perform. Oh boy. Throwing mistake. That's an error for the shortstop, Ryan. And now Halstead just hangs on. That play had everything.
That one, as a coaching staff, is the one that will drive you up a wall. Just a single to left field. Good piece of hitting, but trying to back pick, which I agree with it. They have him on a good throw, but
then the catcher backs up.
Yeah, they almost get him at second, which typically when you throw it away, you're not going to get him just because karma's not on your side. But now you've essentially put another runner for free into scoring position with 2 outs.
That's a double dandy. Wouldn't that be – okay, it is just one error. Because, okay, no second error there.
Yeah, the error will be on the shortstop, Ryan.
There's a lot to keep track of if you're Davis Dupree, the home scorekeeper. That is not a fun job. These are 2 clubs that both field it at 968 or better. So typically in the middle of the pack in the country. Not fielding it like some of the best in the country, like Tennessee. Here's a ground ball to second. Pretty routine. Made it a lot closer as that ends the inning. Harris gets the job done. And it's 3-3 through 4.
Papa John's just took their fresh, never frozen dough in hand, stretched it into thin, oversized New York-style slices. I mean, look at that crust. That is the perfect crust thickness no matter how you eat it. So you can fold it or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it. Get a New York-style pizza from Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities.
In our state and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
This Big South broadcast is brought to you in part by Hercules Tires, ride on our strength. Visit HerculesTires.com. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings. Sunbelt Rentals, we have equipment for that. And First Citizens Bank, forever first.
Ooh, Papa John's just took their fresh, never frozen dough and hand stretched it into thin, oversized New York-style slices. I mean, look at that crust. That is the perfect crust thickness no matter how you eat it. So you can fold it or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it. Get a New York-style pizza from Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
Longwood Lancers without the services of Elliott Dix this weekend. So guys like Jack Schnell and Michael Peterson, they have some big shoes to fill in the heart of this lineup.
They do. Time to step up. Early on, Campbell having to deal without one of their big bats in Zach Neto. And with Elliott Dix out, it falls on the shoulders of those other big guys in the lineup and probably hoping for another guy that can step in, try to fill that role, and see if some guys can develop in opportunities that they haven't seen so far this year.
Longwood finished dead last in the league in 21. Here they sit now in third place, so what a jump from one year to the next. Longwood team coming off a series sweep over Norfolk State in the midweek. Nearby rival in-state. It's a tough stretch for Longwood coming up. At Campbell, at Wake Forest, host Upstate, at Virginia. There's a lot of nationally ranked teams in that mix. May is a very revealing month for college baseball teams. It helps show who's good and honestly who's going to struggle. And I think if you're Chad Oxendine, this is the perfect month to prove where your team sits.
It is, and I love that they're going to face such tough competition. You throw these kids in the fire, see what they're made of, and you don't know what it takes until you see what it takes. So go take a look at it. And
that was 3 takes in 1 sentence, but there's no take on that one. So Cade Boxrucker adds with another strikeout.
Boxrucker's done a nice job. He's there for a while. I wasn't sure how long he was going to stick around in this one.
That's
but
8 strikeouts.
The slider, when it's been good, has been good. I know that that's not a very bold statement, but
you sound like Winnie the Pooh there.
Got himself in a little bit of trouble there in the second, but has bounced back really, really nicely.
That's a new season high, 8 strikeouts. He had 7 punch-outs last week against A&T. A little tougher level of competition today as Dylan Wilkinson digs in. Remember, Thomas Harrington in his debut start had 13 strikeouts. That's the single game record, at least this season. The program record is 16 punch-outs in one game, set back in the 1990s. Although, Cole, you had an inning and you tied a Campbell record, 4 strikeouts in 1 inning.
Really?
Yeah. No one's ever had 5. That'd be hard to do.
So I have the record.
Well, tied.
I'm tied.
You and a few others.
Okay.
Including Ryan Thompson, now of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Any list I'm on with Thompson, I'm good with.
I don't know if your arm would have lasted long enough to pitch 83 innings in a year. He set a single season record.
I don't know that my arm would have lasted long enough to get 5 strikeouts in an inning either way.
Boxrucker and 8 strikeouts tonight. He gives up weak contact. That stays fair. There's 2 quick outs.
Yeah, Thompson was a different breed. He's almost like a starting pitcher out of the bullpen.
He led the country in bullpen appearances 2 years in a row in 12 and 13.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I remember watching the stats, and I'm like, is this guy ambidextrous? How's he?
I thought you were going to say amphibious.
Both. People know. In the baseball world, people know.
Thompson had 17 saves in 2014. He had an ERA of 0.8 in 2013. Here's a 2-out hit for Hunter Gillum, who now has 2 singles, both opposite field.
Not trying to do too much with the baseball, which is beautiful from a slugger. Guy that's hit 10 bombs, sympathizes it bad, and right there with a good bat path. Not quite on time, but able to elevate that ball over Waldy into right field for the single.
That's a Longwood team that's faced tough years, very lean years. 5 conference wins in 19. Less than 10 conference wins last year. Really the breakout season for Longwood was when Chad Oxendine was a coach on the staff. The Lancers went 14-10. Earned a number 3 seed in the conference. Runner breaks for second, and that's an easy stolen base. feel as if Boxrucker he needs to learn a couple of things, but one thing he has to learn is how to keep runners more accountable on base.
He does, and a lot of that is due to a little bit of the new age pitching, maximizing the body and the delivery to throw as hard as possible. But Boxrucker, very predictable, not a great move and not a great time to home, and he's a base runner's dream up there on the mound. A ton of breaking ball. When it's good, it's down and glove side. So not great positions from the catcher to throw from either. If you do a little bit of homework, and Longwood has done a great job stealing bases, but they've also stolen bases in great counts to steal. A lot of them have been on slider.
Or that first pitch as well.
They know what they're doing, and they're executing their plan.
After the long stare down, there's strike one. Yeah, that 2016 season, Longwood made it to the semifinals of the Big South Tournament, losing to eventual champions and national champions, Coastal Carolina, in the championship game.
That was a good team.
Zach Remillard was a huge piece of that. And one of the current assistant coaches here for Longwood, as there's a swing and a miss for strike two. Seth Lancaster, current assistant coach, former player on that championship team.
It's always funny anytime you talk to head coaches when they've just become head coaches. They've been waiting for this moment their whole lives. This is what they work for. As soon as they get that job, those guys have a list of 4 or 5 guys.
They're their buddies.
They know. Oh, that guy played for me. I want him to do my hitting or my fielding. I got this pitching guy from 2004 that he was a stud. As soon as I get the job, I'm calling him. And it's so funny to talk to the coaches. They know exactly who they want. They're just waiting for the call to get that head job.
Oxendine got the head job this summer. He actually hired a brand new pitching coach, Brad Mincy. Never met the guy until the meeting for the interview. But he hired Mickey Beach and Seth Lancaster, former Coastal assistants, brought them here to Farmville. Gives me some time to tell this story. So then Oxendine has interviews with 20 pitching coach candidates, and he falls in love with Brad Mincy out of NC Central. The program shut down. They terminated the program this summer, and he brings in a very good change on the pitching side of things, as this 3-2 is whiffed to end the inning. So that Longwood staff we just lauded a second ago will go to work when we come back for the bottom of the fifth.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
So with 5 weeks to go, there's some have and have-nots in this league. If you're Presbyterian all the way up, it's going to be a fascinating race to get into the top 6.
It is. Pretty safely from Presbyterian up, you know you're going to face some of those teams down the stretch. You can reverse a lot of that just in one weekend if you handle what's in front of you. But nobody's safe. I think Campbell, Upstate, besides them, I think everybody could kind of sneak into the mix late.
These teams play 24 total conference games. That's the slate this year. With Campbell at 12-1, I'm wondering how many games they'd have to win to clinch, at least a spot in the top 6. Is that magic number maybe 2 wins, 14-10 record? You're probably in?
To
maybe
get
3?
in. I think 14 probably does the trick to sneak in.
The Camels have Winthrop, High Point, and Radford coming up next. So 11 games left as Harrell goes down 1-2.
I would say to clinch early, just a spot. I think if you can get to 16.
And actually, my apologies, 27 total conference games. So a 15-12 record probably gets you in. As Harrell takes ball 2. Hey, let's flash those standings up again after this pitch, because right now the 6th place team has a losing record, and even 5th place is under 500. So it is a wide open race from 5 to 11. Harrell picks up a base hit. It kind of caught Falkenberger off guard.
Decent piece of hitting there by Harrell, shooting that ball into right field, but I think he hit the nail on the head. Falkenberry does not get a good read on this baseball. It's actually going to hang up, and at the last minute, he almost retreats to give himself space to catch that ball on the one hop. Hold Harrell at first base, but I think if he gets a better read on that baseball, I don't even think he has to dive for it. I think he could actually have caught it standing up.
Is that the risk of playing too safe, too cautious to avoid the triple when you might just got to go for it?
That was a very 3-3 outfield move. Just, limit the damage. When you play infield, coaches always say your mistakes are 90-foot mistakes. When you play outfield, they're 180-foot mistakes or more. And when you make big mistakes out there, bad things happen.
And with a hitter like Neto behind him, you don't want a runner at third and nobody out.
Absolutely not.
Or else the 4 fingers come up, and there's a walk. That's a great strike. 86 with some movement. He has that sinker and a left-handed run, which is common for a lot of lefties, but there's a great amount of movement here for the true freshman, Kevin Warnick.
He's been good. He's been impressive. He's fought his way through some tough innings. He's kept his composure and has, in large part, avoided a lot of hard contact.
Here's a pickoff move. Harrell is caught stranded, but the throw gets away. That's a mistake by Hunter Gillum. And as a first baseman, you're taught to catch that ball and move towards second.
Correct.
He caught it at an odd angle.
He did. It wasn't a great delivery. It was a little bit up the line from Warnick. And with the speed of Harrell got such a big lead. The throw once up the line was a huge rush from Gillum over there at first base. Still no excuse for short hopping.
That's Campbell's second stolen base of the day, so 65 on the year. And an RBI chance for Zach Neto. Neto has been pitched around a ton this year. He's 1 for 2 today. In fact, he's reached base 49% of the time, nearly 50%.
I think what's interesting is a month ago you intentionally walked Neto. But the way that Logan Jordan's been hitting, that's the protection that we're talking about that's being provided.
Puts a lot of pressure on a pitching staff. Warnick's pitch count is rising to 55, so not terrible.
He's in great shape.
I had to double check it, but yeah, 55 pitches. Boxrucker, meanwhile, has 92 pitches through 5 innings.
Not ideal, but getting through.
As Warnick keeps tabs on second.
Getting through 5 innings would be considered a quality start. 5 innings, 3 runs. It's a quality start. It hasn't been great by any means.
Well, remember the days where going 5 was the measure of a win. Even now in baseball, that's changed where you can earn a win pitching 3, 4 innings as an opener or a starter.
Which I just find confusing. I played this game for a long time.
As the winning pitcher of record, yeah.
Everything's changing. You know, it used to just be, hey, man, you went 4 2/3, great stuff, but you're not going to get the W today. And we used to kind of jab some of our starters about that on occasion.
So Warnick on 2-1. He does not hit Neto, but that was pretty darn close.
I'm not sure how it didn't hit Neto.
I think Neto's saying the same thing.
It's got to be uncomfortable. Coming off an ankle injury, a ball that
jumps over both your ankles.
Yeah, could have clipped it. The last thing you want, I mean, you absolutely want base runners, but not at the expense of re-aggravating that injury.
Missed 2 weeks with an ankle sprain. The All-American who has been locked in since returning from that injury at the start of April. So he takes a walk. Zach Neto up to 21 walks in 30 games.
And that tells you just how good Neto is. Maybe nobody hotter than Logan Jordan right now. Bunch of home runs, bunch of power. Average just jumping off the charts as of late, and still gets absolutely nothing to hit. With a base open, it's almost a intentional walk there, if you will. There was no desire to pitch to him whatsoever.
And how about this? Neto's played 7 less games than the minimum. He leads the Big South in walks now. Just past Cameron Langley of NCA&T with 30 walks. And you see Logan Jordan there committing to a bunt right away. So Justin here, not afraid to play some small ball. That's been his MO with a suicide squeeze today, a safety squeeze that resulted in an out. And a tight game here in game 2, not afraid to try it. Jordan does his job quite nicely. So there's the first down.
That's a beautiful bunt. Great job by Wilkinson. Come in and field the baseball. Take the out that's given to you. But what I find interesting, this is a team that's been slugging it at all world levels. But it almost seems like this is practice for them for a regional.
I was going to ask you, is this to play North Carolina or Duke and not to play Longwood today?
They know they can slug it. They're going to slug it. But when you get into an ACC matchup like you mentioned or a regional, can your 3-hole guy get a bunt down with everything on the line? Well, now he's got something to fall back on. His confidence is rooted in work and execution. To me, it feels like it's almost practice-like. Let's just see if we can do this too, because we're going to have to do it at some point.
It's the game within the game.
It is.
You're playing for the series today, but you're also playing for May and June, which is if Campbell wants to follow expectations. 3 straight regionals. You have to execute at that level, not just against Big South teams.
You do, and it was almost MLB-esque, if you will. You watch those guys slug it all year long. Try to hit a home run, try to hit a home run, try to hit a home run. As soon as they get to the playoffs, hey, can we get a sack bunt down? Yeah, we have to play the game again, and it gets just so much higher stakes and high intensity that you got to make sure that those moments are ready.
There's Connor Denning with those runners in scoring position. And boy, does he deliver. This ball is shot out of a cannon, and see you later. So the small ball turns into a big shot. That's a 3-run dinger.
What a swing by Connor Denning. Typically when you do things right in this game, it'll pay you back, and right there, couldn't pay back any bigger than the big 3-run home run from Connor Denning. This ball absolutely jumping off his bat, and not a chance that left center can hold that baseball.
Justin here was playing mind games with these bunts and stolen bases, and then the big bats just come to play.
They do, but in reality, when you really simplify the at-bat by Denning, he did his job that he was supposed to do. He's a slugger, and with runners on second and third, less than 2 outs, it's his job to sit back and elevate a fly ball to the big part of the field.
And that's not a home run swing per se. That's a double swing.
That's a result of a great approach, simplifying the job, and you happen to get a little bit more of it than maybe you'd even hope for. Just hit a fly ball, he gets all of it, and hits a home run. And really that's Campbell functioning 1 through 9. They're executing the 4-hole guy laying down a bunt, moving runners over, simplifying the job for Denning.
Makes a coach look like a smart man, that's for sure.
He looks like a genius, and it was all due to just simplifying it bat by bat and executing in that moment.
So Denning with the team's 65th home run as an offense. That's best in the Big South by a 10 home run margin. It is 1A and then C or 3 on the list. Peterson has his fair share of home runs, knocks it out of play.
It's an offense that really doesn't reflect any sort of offense we saw early in the year at all. These guys couldn't buy a home run the first couple weeks of season. We're like, man, it really seemed like Campbell was going to slug it. It seemed like they had the makeup for a power team.
And that turf is still loose. Oh, Peterson gets plunked.
Was that in the knee?
I think so. Sorry, I'm trying to swap
the way
this
that
fly
ball
in our
came
booth.
off, it looked like it almost got a kneecap, but either Pearson is all-world tough or
I kind of want to see it from the bat. There we go. This angle will be interesting. Ow. He almost spun the Evo Shield away from the ball.
Yeah, he did. The Evo Shield's more so for foul ball prevention.
Yeah. So Longwood makes a pitching change, and the Lancers with Coach Mincy go to the pen. We'll take a timeout. A 3-run homer puts the Camels in front by 3.
The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities.
In our state and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Woo! Papa John's just took that fresh, never frozen dough and hand stretched it into thin, oversized New York-style slices. I mean, look at that crust. That is the perfect crust thickness no matter how you eat it. So you can fold it or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it. Get a New York style pizza from Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
So the new arm, Sean Gibbons, he's at a Hidden Valley High School. And Cole, he models this game after Chris Sale, listed him as his favorite athlete. Well, the delivery is pretty darn similar. Now he tries to limit a 3-run inning.
That's probably a pretty good guy to model your game after. Very similar in arm slot, some similarities in the delivery, but Chris Sale, bit of an all-world talent velocity-wise, mid to upper 90s. Gibbons not going to be that firm, but the slider has some similarities as well.
How about this fact? 11 innings consecutive scoreless. Gibbons hasn't given up a run since March 1st at North Carolina. That's quite a stretch for a lefty out of the pen.
It is, and good for Campbell also to see a good talented arm out of the bullpen. It looks like Longwood going to stick with the left-handed approach. I think that if you're going to beat Campbell without really super elite pitching talent, I think you do it from the left side. It gives you the opportunity to minimize some of those left-handed bats in the lineup. I think I like the approach. Keep it left-handed.
So Babin, Arias, and Halstead, 2 lefties in this order. There's an easy stolen base. Oh, I don't know, Pearson. You got to get down, young man. I think Justin Hare's asking the same question.
I don't think he's asking. It didn't look. I don't think he's asking. He had his arms out. He expects.
Do you pull Drake Pearson for that mistake?
No. He got a great jump. He misread the timing of the play.
He thought the catcher wasn't going to throw it, I imagine.
Yeah, I think he just thought he had a bit more time than he did. The jump was really superb.
That swing not as much. So 1-1 here against Sean Gibbons.
That's the right approach there by Ty Babin, looking to pull a baseball, but not by giving away your swing mechanics and just creating rotationally. It's going to be more of a pitch selection.
So he's all out on that one pitch.
It was just bad intentions, just flying open, kind of flailing at it.
Runner goes again. This ground ball will get one run across. That time Peterson went headfirst dive, no question. Did you see it there live? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was okay, Coach. I got you. I know I was wrong. Let me make it up and try to get back into your good graces on this one. And that's what Babin needed to do the pitch before.
Keep his shoulder in.
Right. You don't sacrifice the mechanics of the swing to create a result. You get a little bit finer on your pitch selection and you change your contact point to create a pulled baseball.
Waldiari is a squeeze bunt and a ground ball out, so he's been productive today. And that is sort of the key word to his entire career. The numbers are never flashy, but in 5 seasons, Waldy has been the hit-by-pitch leader. He's been a stolen base threat, and clearly someone who knows his role.
Oh, he knows his role. He's bought into his role. Heck, I think he enjoys his role, just being the grindy guy that can get it done. And it's not terribly fair to say his stats don't represent him, but they don't represent him. I mean, if you look at Waldy on paper, you don't see a ton. But once you see him in the game, you see his defense, you see his leadership, and the way that he helps this offense function. I mean, he's as vital as...
And ever since the injury to Bryce Arnold a month ago, he's become the full-time second baseman.
And rightfully so. I mean, we saw some up and downs with Arnold kind of emotionally, and then the injury hits. But Waldy is kind of the opposite. The high end isn't necessarily there, but the consistency's there on a day-by-day basis.
Waldy, who modeled his game after Robinson Cano growing up, a great second baseman for the Yankees and the Mariners. Grew up in the Dominican Republic. He moved to the United States at age 7. And now here in his final season, grinding out a 2-2 at-bat, resulting in a base hit. Now that's some senior leadership, adding on to the inning, and it's 7-3.
That's what Waldy does. He understands the moment, understands the situation. He knows he's prepared. The guy is rooted in work ethic and gets a pitch he can handle here at the top of the zone. Flicks it out into right center. I mean, that's a Waldy Arias at bat, finding a way to get it done.
That closes the line on Kevin Warnick, the true freshman. 4 1/3 innings, 7 runs allowed. That's a hard way to win in Big South play. And how about this? Campbell bats in the first 2 games, only 8 combined strikeouts in 14 innings. This ball's also touched to center, and Dolberry's all over. So it's a 4-run lead. Cade Boxrucker with some support as he goes to work when we come back.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe,
heartwarming
it's
story.
8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big.
Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
Roasted for 4 runs last inning. And now it's most sought-after reliever. Ty Cummings enters, replacing Cade Boxrucker. Also, I got to ask, why is Campbell wearing black when it's 85 degrees out today?
I'm not exactly sure.
I know starting pitchers choose that stuff, but that you can't do that today.
They from what I've seen from Campbell, they love a chip on their shoulder. I think it's almost a mindset thing. You know, they have this 75 and sunny thing when it's cold. That cold is just a mindset. But I almost think it's just it's the hottest day of the year so far. We're gonna wear our black jerseys, which are pretty slick looking if you ask me, and we're gonna get over it and pretend like this heat doesn't matter.
So Cummings, who has been asked to do a lot in this bullpen, this is now his 18th appearance in 36 games. That's half your season. Ty Cummings has been a factor.
That's when you love to be a pitcher in the bullpen. I mean, a lot of these guys love to pitch out of the bullpen because they know their number can be called on any given day. They want to be involved in as many games as possible. Ty Cummings, a great representation of that, but I think he fits the mix. If he continues to develop, could be a starter down the road with the stuff developing, but being involved every day.
What is going on?
Not sure.
Interesting. There's a ground ball to short. Neto tests his arm and flings a bullet to first base. Well, we wondered if Zach Neto could play defense at the next level. That has been answered.
That was one of those interesting plays. If you see this ball off the bat, you think almost immediately Belbin's going to have the angle on it. Get the jump, he'll have the angle. But almost just falling back on the talent of Neto there to cover you in the 6 hole, I thought off the bat it was going to be Belbin at third base.
That has to be a luxury if you're Belbin over there, leaning on your All-American shortstop.
It is. And I tell the story all the time. I was very fortunate to play with Cedric Mullins in center field. And they said, how was it playing left field with Cedric in center? I said, the only time I covered ground was from where I was standing to the foul line. It's like Cedric had everything else. And that's almost what it's like with Neto at short. I mean, could Belbin have gotten that ball? Yeah, absolutely. I think he has the better angle on it. But when you have an all-world talent like that and he calls it, maybe best to just clear the path and let him do what he's so good at doing.
He makes the difficult play look routine.
Absolutely.
And sometimes he makes the routine play look difficult.
He does, and that's where he's going to come along at the next level when he's getting everyday reps of just hundreds of ground balls where you know the hop that you're going to play as soon as the ball's hit off the bat. And sometimes at the college level, a lot of the times it's the middle infielders that just need a few more reps. And I think once he gets that work, his talent will really, really shine.
Ty Cummings has had some walk issues out of the pen. He's walked 5 in his last 8 innings and gives up weak contact. There's Arias. I believe that was a two-seamer. Good run there for the second out.
He can create a heavy two-seam baseball, and so far, when you know Ty Cummings is throwing the baseball well, yeah, that one has a ton of run. He creates ground ball outs. That's what he's so good at doing when he's going well, and so far,
and you combine that with velocity too. I mean, it's 93 to 95, and sink and run to it. An awkward 3/4 angle. That's a tough challenge for a hitter.
The fastball actually has a lot of similarities to Harrington. It's firm, it's low to mid 90s, and it's heavy arm side run and sink. I would say the only place
96 on that
he's getting after it. He's confident. He feels good. I guess that's what's so important about college pitchers. When you have 18 appearances, you're going to feel your best stuff maybe once or twice out of your 18 times out. The other times it's just going to be and about a third to a fifth of those times are going to be when you do not have your best stuff whatsoever. And you're grinding with one pitch. You can't find the strike zone. You have no command. And
today he looks pretty locked in.
He looks absolutely locked.
And the breaking ball ends the inning. Babbitt knew it. Cummings punches out. Hayden Harris to end the 6th. Quality scoreless from the Campbell pen.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe,
heartwarming
it's
story
8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
Well, Campbell with another 7-run performance today. You look up and down this order. Belbin's actually one of the faces not in this lineup, and yet there's productivity everywhere.
There is. They found a way 1 through 9 to compete, and Belbin having some tough matchups with left-handed hitters today, but the rest of those guys finding a way to perform. And what's important is they all kind of pick each other up. One or two of them has a bad day. The other two or three are there to pick up, hit the double in the gap, the home run, and pick up those RBIs. And that's what's made this Campbell offense so dangerous. They're not relying on one guy. It's kind of 4 or 5 guys in there that can produce big RBI numbers, and that's how they've found their consistency.
How about in the last 2 conference series? Belbin's driven in 16 runs. I mean, that's in 6 games. Hard to do, especially as a leadoff man.
Well, it shows you how good the bottom of the lineup is for Campbell. The guys at the bottom have been very productive and have been developing throughout this year, getting on base. And
great slider there from Sean Gibbons.
They've given Belbin a chance to produce. He's done a very good job of that. Just for him today, 2 lefties with tough arm angles for a left-on-left matchup.
Gibbons and Warnick. You look at the splits coming in. Belbin against left-handers, clearly going to be lower. But the difference is rather vital. 295 to 175.
And that's going to be kind of something to watch throughout the rest of the season. It's one of those things where I couldn't help but think if Bryce Arnold gets healthy, would he get a start understanding that those splits are so large, bring in the righty to face the left-handed hitters, because anything under 200 is just not going to cut it.
Here's the payoff. That's fouled away. Campbell as a team hits 230 against left-handed starters. They hit 295, which clearly means if I'm an opposing team, I load up on lefties and make them earn it.
That's what I was saying earlier. I think lefties without elite arm talent are the way to beat Campbell. You minimize their left-handed hitters, which are very important.
Oh, there's a walk.
Almost.
So is that what makes Presbyterian dangerous with the ace Charlie McDaniel, who won twice against Campbell last year?
It does. Left-on-left matchups are so tough. And
catcher asking for that low and outside.
The arm side miss, trying to do a little bit too much with the pitch. And almost a cheek shot. I mean, you can just tell he doesn't see the baseball as well from the left side. Just getting out of that one. Gibbons, not a hard thrower, but just not picking up the baseball as well left on left.
It's like in the Matrix. Great movement.
I do agree with you, though, with the Charlie Daniels. I don't know that it will be a win, but I think if you want to give yourself a chance to win.
And that's where getting the first or second seed is so important, because you get the bye in the tournament this year. So 3 through 6 have to battle each other out, which would theoretically burn any team's best starter. Not that someone couldn't have a great day, but your chances get so much better.
They do. Baseball is all about playing the numbers, and if you play the numbers, you know that the best chance for you to beat Campbell is going to be with a left-handed starter. It's going to really minimize a lot of the offense, and it's just Campbell doesn't – even their righties, I feel like, just don't slug quite the same off of lefties. I know when I didn't like to hit lefties. I'd rather hit the right-on-right matchup all day long. Fastball and breaking ball, for me, was easier to hit than the fastball changeup that a right-hander will often see from a lefty. And sometimes when a lefty has a more horizontal breaking ball, it can present problems. Throwing the backdoor breaking ball or sneaking just past the barrel onto the hands of a right-handed hitter. But verticality's no easy pitch to hit either in a breaking ball from a lefty.
Listen to the sounds of a college baseball Saturday. 5 weeks to go in the regular season. Campbell hits the road for 12 of its next 13 games. Big stretch coming up. Longwood has just 2 home series remaining against Upstate at the start of May. The sweet sounds of Gabby Ayala motivating her friends as that was fouled off. She's a fan favorite in this ballpark.
She is, and she's joined a very elite group of Campbell faithful, everyday expected spectators. Bit of a tongue twister there, but I have seen her at 99 to 100% of the games.
There's a walk for Lawson Harrell. Yeah, Gabby, they met her at the Miracle League in Dunn, North Carolina. She's grown up with many challenges, as kids of certain ilks do, and to her credit, she loves baseball and she loves these players.
And she's awesome. She's a ton of fun. She was actually at Miracle League back when I was playing for Campbell. I had the opportunity to meet her. She started coming to some games, kind of fell in love with the game, and a lot of the players have just been great fun for her to meet, hang out with. They're great, and she's a staple at every game and just an awesome presence to have.
Here's Zach Neto, who not only is a great player, but clearly he has an understanding of his talent. Signed autographs for 20 minutes after the game last night. Shook hands, kissed the babies, all that fun stuff. And for someone with a first or second round grade, that's an incredible awareness.
It is, and it's actually one of those things that no one teaches you how to do or how to act. It's really interesting. A lot of people don't have that experience, or, honestly, not a lot of people want every player's autograph, but to be available, make yourself available for the fans after the game, make the experience that much better. And you're going to be making the day of however many kids you sign for. It just makes it an awesome experience for them as well.
Because that's the challenge of being a great player. You also have the spotlight of a lot of attention. Media, interviews, fans, you name it.
It's in my opinion, it's an unfair spotlight, because you come to school and everybody's going to teach you how to be a student, and they're going to teach you how to be a baseball player. But what they're not going to teach you is really how to act like a great player off the field.
There's a base hit for Neto, so he cashes in. Belbin charging, scoring head first. And the lead extends. Another RBI base hit for Zach Neto.
You start giving away free passes at the top of this lineup, you're going to find yourself in trouble more often than not. And with Zach Neto at the plate, you're only going to escape fire for so long. Hung breaking ball out over the plate, and Coach Hare's been aggressive all day long. Don't stop now. Belbin gets a great turn, and bit of an aggressive slide into home.
There's Gabby Ayala we were telling you about. Lives in nearby Dunn, North Carolina, the Miracle League. And you see her sitting there every game cheering and chanting.
Every game.
It can be 90 degrees. It can be 25 degrees. She will support Campbell baseball. Runners take off. There's 2 stolen bases. And we mentioned earlier Justin here planning not only for the present but the future. He really seems to be experimenting today. Like he woke up this morning and said, I'm going to try 5 things.
It's great experience for the players because you don't know you can do something until you do it. You have to try, you have to fail or succeed and learn from it. Can you get the read? Can you execute in the moment? And so far today they have. I mean, we've seen bunts from sluggers. We've seen a lot of stolen bases, some safety squeezes. We've seen kind of the whole gambit of the Campbell offense just experimenting and figuring out exactly what they have.
That's a good pitch. Sean Gibbons surrendered his first run today since the first day of March. He's been really good the last 2 months, 12 straight scoreless innings. And he faces an offense that just keeps churning. 9 runs last night, 8 more today, and really no sign of slowing down. Campbell has a chance. They will not catch Coastal Carolina. 2010, the Chanticleers went 25-0 in league play. But maybe the second best conference season ever. Currently 12-1. And
they do. And with the quality baseball they're playing now, they've really peaked at the right time. They're starting to, figure out exactly what they have. They have the guys that are in the lineup every day, and they're going to be tough to stop.
That'll score 1 more run. Here's Ryan off his back foot, and that's the first out. It does bring in Lawson Harrell.
Not the big swing we've come to expect from Jordan, but another Campbell hitter simplifying the at-bat. Understanding ground ball to the big part of the field does it, and a ground ball to shortstop picks up the RBI and extends the lead.
How do you beat a team that averages 9 runs a game?
Score 10. I truly, the way Campbell's playing right now, it almost looks to me like
they're in cruise control.
They have to have self-inflicted wounds in order for other teams to win. Just because every bounce is going their way, they're executing every chance they get. They're picking up 2-out RBIs. They're throwing the baseball pretty well. There's, in my opinion,
because they allow basically 4.5 runs a game, but the way they score 9 to 10 runs a game, a 4.5 ERA is probably fine.
It is, and you're still not going to find that very often from a Campbell starter. I mean, there's some different guys that are getting some opportunities here. Boxrucker getting the opportunity that had a 4+ ERA coming into the game, but
let's not forget Campbell's ERA at 4.59 is the best in the conference. So this is not a Big South with dominant pitching like we saw last spring.
And you're also talking about a different deal than you're talking about we were discussing early in the season when Campbell couldn't score. So this was a pitching staff that was pressed into pitching into tight games, understanding they couldn't make mistakes. Well, now Campbell averaging 9 runs a game, you can almost pitch freely and understand that Campbell will strike. The offense will come. It may not come in the first 3, 4, 5 innings, but at some point the runs are going to go on the board. So just settle in, don't compound mistakes. That's also helped the ERA to go down because pitchers are pitching a lot more freely. But I don't know in the Big South, to be honest, who can beat them.
Because the race is to get into the top 6. Once you're in the tournament, it's a whole new game up at High Point, North Carolina. But you have to get there.
Right. I think Campbell could be beaten in the tournament because it's a different atmosphere. And we'll see how they react. But until they get there, you can't give them the credit that's due from it. But I don't see them losing any games the rest of the year unless it's self-inflicted.
There's a whiff for Denning for strike 2. Their best season ever in the Big South, just 5 conference losses. That was back in 2013. That team won 49 games. This team has a chance. We mentioned 27 games in conference. They're 12-1. Will win today. This could be a 24-3 type of conference season.
I think it's a disappointment if it's not. And I know that's huge expectations to put, but that's the way I see it. I don't see as big a hurdles for them that have been there in the past.
Especially when you consider this offense last year was nationally elite. The offense this year, not as prolific home run-wise, but still scoring at a high enough rate. You combine that with better pitching, and it's a whole big challenge.
Better pitching, better defense. Just they're a better club this year.
This pop-up should be the second out for Gillum. Now the question is for Campbell, will the bats carry over to the regionals?
That's the big question. Will the pitching carry over to the regionals? Will the defense? Because everything changes once you make the tournament. The stakes are high, the stadiums are full, the lights are on, and so are the cameras. Can you stay calm?
The cameras are on here too. ESPN Plus.
They are, but
there's bigger cameras.
There's a national, just the feel of those moments is so different.
Take me through it. You've been through conference tournament runs. What's the difference?
It's high stakes. You're going to see the high leverage arm. There is no, if we lose today, we'll win tomorrow. Baseball's so predicated on 2 out of 3. Can we get 2 out of 3? That's all it's going to take. And
how about Neto going for third, and he makes it in. He holds his hand. That was a confident call from Jeff Francis, and I imagine this will be challenged.
I would think. He definitely, it looked like, comes off the bag with the huge jump. Not much of a chance to get him there.
Safe there. Oh. It's like the Max Muncy slide last night. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter.
That's tough to tell.
I think this will be challenged. Yep. Okay, so challenge is issued. We're going to step aside from broadcaster standpoint, and we'll let you watch the angles the umpires watch here. Again, my rule is 60 seconds or less. If you can't decide in a minute, stick with the call. So the call's confirmed, which means there's a stolen base for Zach Neto. 5th steal of the game for Campbell. Okay, let's try it again. Peterson rolls it foul. By the way, that's only the first pitch of the at-bat. I know it feels like that was an 8-pitch battle. Sorry, Cole, I misspoke earlier. 7 stolen bases for the Camels, so 70 on the year. They're on the elusive 69 the last 2 innings. Oh, nice snag by Wilkinson. Watch out. That'll end the inning. Campbell scores 2 more as we're through 6.
Papa John's just took that fresh, never frozen dough and hand stretched it into thin, oversized New York-style slices. I mean, look at that crust. That is the perfect crust thickness no matter how you eat it. So you can fold it or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it. Get a New York-style pizza from Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
In sports,
We are used to an even playing field.
Unfortunately,
Off the field,
court,
track,
Coast.
not all people are treated fairly.
In the Big South Conference,
we commit to using our voices
to oppose injustices and inequalities.
Join us as we champion change
towards ensuring even playing fields
In and out of sports.
the Big South Conference.
We're allies.
We're advocates. Where winners are made.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Hey, we're back. Ty Cummings, part of a bullpen that's been highly taxed this year between, oh, there's a little bit of a misprint. If Ryan Chassie threw 174 innings, that would be something special. Nonetheless, this bullpen has been asked to really be anchors. And you wonder, right, who outside of these two will join the party as highly trusted arms?
I think that's the predicament that Campbell finds themselves in. It's a 2-horse stable so far out of the bullpen in trusted arms, and they know going into tournament play and regional play, 2 arms out of the bullpen is not going to be near enough to cut it. May not even get you through game 1. So they're going to need at least 2 to 3 more quality arms that can pitch in high leverage situations to have success.
Because that's how you win in a regional. You can't burn your top 2 arms in, let's say, game 1 or game 2 and then expect to win the weekend. That's what cost them 3 years ago when Seth Johnson had to throw 6 innings in the second game. And then there was no arms that they trusted left for the ECU doubleheader.
Really, and no arms that had earned that position, that had prepared for that position. They were thrown into the fire because of really lack of arms that had stepped up prior to then. And typically when that happens, it's not going to bode well. And sure enough, they got tagged and kind of fell to the situation.
Michael Peterson pops one up to left. I was about to say, if Zach Neto caught that ball, I think Logan Jordan would need a refund because that's clearly his.
I do think it's fun, just the way he plays the game, running all the way out there. I mean, heck, had Jordan have fallen down, I think he could have caught it. But just to see him run out there, a guy that's going to be a top, I would say, 2-rounder at the latest.
Does that infectious energy translate to the big leagues, or at least the minor leagues, right? Because it's a lot less collegial and energetic at the next level.
The best answer I can give you on that is I don't know. I didn't play at that level. I know guys that have, and I've spoken to them, and it's definitely different. It's a lot more
transactional.
Very transactional, very me-based, stat-based. Guys there are not going to hit so situationally because they know the ground out to the right side isn't going to get them to the next level. It's going to be the 20, 25 home run season, 275 average or better. You're working through kind of your stat line is what's going to get you noticed.
But then once you get to the highest level or to the highest of your potential, it's that situational hitting that helps you move on and move forward.
Baseball is really funny that way. It's played completely different in the postseason as it is in the regular season. It's played completely different in the minors as it is in the majors. And it's different in the minors than it is in college. So it's just, I think what will translate is his ability to adapt and how versatile he is as a player, as a personality. For a guy that has the spotlight as much as Neto does, I've never talked to anybody that's heard a negative thing about him in any aspect of the way he goes about his business on and off the field. So I do think that the good person he is and the versatility he has will translate extremely well to the next level.
There's a swing and a miss for strike one. Campbell currently has 9 players in the minors or major league ranks. Getting to that level is one thing, but sustaining that success and being a consistent minor leaguer is a whole different challenge.
It is. The only thing harder than being good once is being good twice and so on and so forth. But it also helps the guys that come after them. You look at Thompson. Thompson helped put Campbell on the map as far as they have a big leaguer in recent times, and guys that we draft out of Campbell aren't just going to fall out a couple years into their career. These are guys that can have prolonged success and get to the big leagues and still be successful. Thompson, in my opinion, really set that up and opened the doors for guys like Cedric Mullins to get the call, and now he's doing it.
This ground ball should end the inning. Neto, a busy man, and he shows off the arm for good fun. That was fun. A 1-2-3 inning. Let's stretch here at Jim Perry Stadium.
Papa John's just took their fresh, never frozen dough and hand stretched it into thin, oversized New York-style slices. I mean, look at that crust. That is the perfect crust thickness no matter how you eat it. So you can fold it or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it. Get a New York-style pizza from Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
In sports,
We are used to an even playing field.
Unfortunately,
Off the field,
court,
track,
Coast.
not all people are treated fairly.
In the Big South Conference,
we commit to using our voices.
To oppose injustices and inequalities.
Join us as we champion change.
Towards ensuring even playing fields.
In and out of sports.
the Big South Conference.
We're allies.
We're advocates. Where winners are made.
This Big South broadcast is brought to you in part by Hercules Tires, ride on our strength. Visit HerculesTires.com. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings. Sunbelt Rentals, we have equipment for that. And First Citizens Bank, forever first.
So these are the updated standings, Cole, and all of a sudden it's the have and have-nots in the Big South. I'm not sure if Campbell's going to lose 5 games this year, but it is an absolute mess in the middle of this league.
It is. It's really a toss-up. Nobody has earned much, I guess, right there in the middle. Upstate off to a good start. I would say Campbell and Upstate will.
By the way, Asheville, they just won a moment ago, so they're 9-5. They scored 25 runs today.
It's kind of the story for Asheville. Kind of some here, some there. Which team are they going to be when it all boils down to it? I'm not sure. They're definitely coming along and developing as a program. I think that they can beat anybody. But
and they
also,
can lose to anybody.
They can lose, exactly right. They can lose to anyone on any given day, and I know that goes for baseball in general, but Asheville even more so susceptible to that statement.
Here is Ty Babin, the senior who has seen his fair share. And with a new pitcher now for Longwood, you do wonder how Trey Tiffany can slow down this offense, because they have been cruising this weekend, 18 runs.
I don't necessarily see it happening. Tiffany does have a bit of a different delivery, awkward of sorts, and that
awkward for the hitter or for the pitcher?
For the hitter. Any sort of non-standard delivery is kind of considered awkward. It takes some getting used to. It's almost, we call it Iron Mike-esque, kind of a reference back to the old pitching machines that were just a steel arm that just went around and then threw the ball at you.
I went to plenty of Mulligan's batting cages to see those things crank up
exactly.
and fling at you.
Iron Mike-esque, and it's kind of interesting to see and look at. But this is a Campbell team that's scored in 4 out of the 6 innings they've hit so far. I don't know that they show any signs of stopping anytime soon.
And a leadoff walk always helps the cause. So Babin's on for the second time.
Definitely not a great start to keeping an offense from scoring.
That's the challenge for Trey Tiffany and this pitching staff. No one has been able to stop Campbell so far. And I'm not sure how they will for the Camano Island, Washington product, who pitched in 9 games last year, mostly out of the pen, an Edmonds Community College transfer. Oh, that's way up and in. And Waldy's showing out the chain here in the 7th inning. A little personality, a little swagger late in this one.
I will say, I have to give credit where it's due. I think Neto provided 98% of the swagger to this team.
So it's as simple as a championship-level performer?
Say it again?
You just bring a standout player that brings swagger? I mean, I know because Neto's won a championship in the regular season. He's won a batting title, player of the year. It just takes – is it the player or is it the personality that brings the swagger?
Both. And I think it's so important. It's why you see a lot of MLB teams, even at that level, sign the veteran. I mean, I was reading an article the other day, and there were guys that were signing with the Tigers in the MLB because they wanted to be around Miguel Cabrera, because he's got the great personality, as Waldy draws the walk. He's got the great personality, and he's so successful at the game. I mean, he's really the best hitter. Probably him and Albert Pujols, the best hitters of my generation, our generation.
Sure.
But guys are signing there just to go play with those guys because they know how infectious they are. They want to see how they go about their business. They want to see what drills they're doing. They want to see how they approach the game. And I think Neto has loosened up this team quite a bit, made them play more freely. They have a ton of fun. They have that loose energy swagger to them. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of both, and I think a lot of that is largely contributed to the way that their best player plays the game.
Sort of reminds me of the NBA. You're only as good as your best player. Personality, talent. I guess it'd be best player and best pitcher in baseball. And with Campbell having 2 projected top 50 picks, that elevates them to a level they've never been before. Even if the rest of the talent may not be up to the levels of previous years, just that elite talent takes them to the next step.
It is, and it's greatness, right? I mean, Harrington is great. Neto is great. As a young player, you want to go play with those guys and see how they do it so that you can replicate some of that in your game. Learn what works for them. They'll help talk you through what's going to work for you and how somebody with your talents and your swing should approach different parts of the game, and that knowledge is priceless. Like, yes, coaches are great. I think both coaching staff in large part have done a great job, but
I think Halstead went. Oh, wow.
I thought he went around as well. But
well, the umpire shifted with the runners on base, so he's not clearly down the line.
I think a lot of the information that these young players can get from Neto is truly priceless in their development as well.
So Halstead stays alive. Wow. Bobby Donegan has been very hitter-friendly in this at-bat. So the 3-2 misses inside, and that's 3 straight walks for Trey Tiffany. Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Great song.
Yeah.
I mean, really a generational song if you really think about it.
I wasn't born in that generation, but I believe you. Because that was late 80s, early 90s, right?
Yeah, I'm a early 90s. But if I didn't hear that song in my parents' car 1,000 times growing up, I'd be lying.
3 walks to load the bases. Wow, these are the moments if you're Coach Mincy, the pitching coach, you are really up against Brad Mincy, the former East Carolina Pirate, now first year on the pitching staff here at Farmville. Tough assignment when your reliever, Trey Tiffany, walks the bases loaded and is in danger of walking in a run. Oh, here comes Babin to the plate, and he's out.
I want to see the jump Babin gets on this baseball. Not great.
No.
As soon as he takes that half step back, he's out. Great play. Great athleticism out there by Tiffany to make that play, but as soon as he makes that half step back, it costs him 2 steps forward, and that's the difference in that play.
Okay, so this is a Campbell-initiated challenge. So let's watch and see. Out.
He's out. This one should take
Done.
30 seconds.
I got it, Ump.
Go do your due diligence.
Bobby, we got you. Okay, let's see. Great effort by Tiffany, though.
It absolutely was. Great
catch,
slide, apply a tag. I mean, that's asking a lot of a pitcher.
Yep.
Cleat to the face for good measure.
the side kick.
Head first into home, I tell you, is a hotly contested topic.
For the runner or for the?
For the runner.
Yeah.
It's just, and I get what he's doing. He knows he's dead to rights on time, so he's trying to create space outside the baseline and reach around with that left hand. So I understand what he's doing, but Tiffany's no small man sliding.
That's 6'2",
directly into you.
230. Middle linebacker-esque.
Babin is a catcher, but he's going to lose that battle.
What's the old saying? When a movable object meets a when a movable force meets a firm object?
I think it's.
I should know this expression. Anyway,
we'll have to Google it or something after.
Two guys getting after it. Oh, immovable force, unstoppable object.
Yeah.
And then they collide. That's what this is. Because there's the out right there.
Yep.
And the cleat to the face for good measure.
I'm taking Tiffany. If they're doing a little Oklahoma drill, if this were a college football practice, I'm taking Tiffany to.
I don't think they do Oklahoma drills anymore.
Is that stopped now?
Because Tiffany had looked at Babby. He's like, here we go. This is going down.
Bring it, man.
There's a lot of spring football games today. This is kind of the end of spring. Correct. That's the first out of the inning.
Surprised it took that long. I think we were having more fun watching both of the slides than really trying to figure out the call at home. But either way, as a pitcher, Tiffany not being able to throw a lot of strikes, Campbell kind of gives him one there. Bails him out of a bad situation. He's behind DeBelbin, not showing signs of being relatively close to the strike zone. That's a tough out to give away, even though it's a 9-3 game.
So that runner caught stealing clears the bases for a moment as Belbin misses for strike 2. I imagine if you're Justin Hare, you're just hoping that Babin's a little more assertive on that call.
Exactly. It was a little bit of what we talked about earlier, some hesitant aggressiveness. And anytime you hesitate, you're wrong. The half step costs Babin 2 steps forward.
And a strikeout of Belbin.
Great response by Tiffany.
So that slide has just amped up Tiffany. He's touched 90 miles an hour.
I don't necessarily understand what Belbin was looking for here. He's well ahead in the count, and that a 90-mile-an-hour fastball right down Broadway, he blew 3 of them right by Belbin. I don't know if he's just not seeing the baseball well or what, but there was never a doubt he was going to get something to hit in that count.
So Brad Mincy, he's going to play matchups here. Wow, after that last strikeout, I don't know. Trey Tiffany has found his stuff, and he's going to take a breather here. So we'll take a timeout for a pitching change. New arm in for Longwood when we come back.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe,
heartwarming
it's
story.
8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
Very rare appearances for Gunn, and this is where Longwood has been forced with his bullpen, giving up 9 runs today. So now Gunn inherits 2 on with 1 out, or 2 outs now. Good luck.
It's a tough situation. Anytime you lose the first one, you're down big in the second one, especially late to such a dangerous offense, and more of just an opportunity to get some experience here for Gunn. See if you can refine what you got working and become viable for us in the future.
In fact, the 10th appearance for Kevin Gunn, 20 innings, equal number of strikeouts to walks, which can always be trouble. With a boom, boom. Just keep it popping. Let the beat rock. Just got to keep the song rolling while we're thinking about it. Alongside Evan Budrovich, I'm Cole Hallam with that fun expression. No, that was Evan talking about that. I had to do that every once in a while, see if you're listening.
I was thrown off there for a second. I was like, oh, okay.
Like, who's that Cole Hallam guy? What's he saying?
No, I'm okay on the play-by-play stuff. I'll be a little bit out of my depth on that one.
So Lawson Harrell hits with 2 outs. And Kevin Gunn. You can't roar at a catcher like that.
That was bad.
McLeod was
he
framed
crossed?
outside the box. He got crossed to the corner.
He swayed outside. Like
Yeah.
he thought it was going to be a slider, and then
he gets the strike call.
He caught that ball, as catchers say, caught it outside the frame. Usually you're not going to be rewarded on those calls.
Bobby Dunnigan, he's a fan of pitching over the plate. That's fouled off.
I will be honest, though. In a 9-3 game, I'm okay with the call.
Yeah. I mean, it was over the plate, which with robotic umpires would be a strike.
I hope they don't go to robotic
There's been a lot of
umpires.
examples of balls that just catch the top of the zone but are way out, right? And they're called strikes.
I really hope they don't go to that.
I don't think they will.
There's an art to winning strikes, and there's an art to manipulating an umpire's strike zone.
And there's an art to a slider. So there's a punch out to end the inning. And Campbell strands the strands the bases loaded. Everyone's lost track of what's going on here. Let's go to the 8th.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities, in our state, and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
So Campbell has a unique stretch. 3 quality opponents. Wilmington, Greensboro, and Duke following winter break. Semester finals. This is where they'll be tested outside of conference, and clearly that's what Justin Hare wants.
He does. Line up good opponents. It's late in the year. Face the best. Make sure you're on track to beat good opponents late.
This is a 6-run game that feels like a 15-run game. I don't know why, and it's hard to explain, but Campbell has thoroughly dominated this series, outscoring Longwood 18-5.
To me, it seemed like once Warnick left the game, and I will say I find the scoreline to be misleading on his outing. I thought he had this game very well managed for about 4 1/3 innings.
Right.
4 innings. Once he left the game, it seemed like somebody just let the air out of the balloon. And it's been all Campbell ever since. They've been applying more pressure on offense than they did early. So I don't know if it's a lack of belief in their bullpen or what happened, but it's kind of turned on its head and kind of changed. Longwood doesn't even feel as aggressive or anything here kind of since then.
And a line drive, base hit. Wilkinson with a nice start. So Dylan Wilkinson with a double. Longwood not out of it just yet with a leadoff base hit.
Campbell, a little bit of the victims of the shift there with Harrell shifted over towards the gap. That's a double off the bat, and great hustle to get this inning started out with a double.
So Longwood has to play George Mason and Wake Forest. That's 2 games during the semester finals week. It's a tough stretch for Longwood heading in the midst of conference play next weekend. I do like that both these teams are willing to test themselves before the final stretch.
And you never want to be overly misleading to yourself or your team either, because it doesn't pay dividends in the long run. If you go beat a couple of bad opponents, it just doesn't do much for you. You're never going to learn to play the game. And 13-2 wins, 15-5, nothing there is going to teach you how to play the game and beat good teams. And so play the good teams. If you lose, so what? Maybe you learn something from it and you'll be better for it in the future.
That's chopped right off the foot of Hunter Gillum. Because if both these teams are going to beat NC State, Duke, Louisville, legit ACC opponents, teams out of the SEC like Tennessee, South Carolina, you have to build on that success here in the Big South and then go at a conference and win games.
You do, and you have to execute at a high level. You need to learn. There's an art to winning close games, and there's an art to winning high-stakes games, how to calm the blood pressure in big situations, not let the moment get too big, slow down the game. And you just can't learn that against bad opponents.
We think about top 50 wins or quad 1 victories. Campbell's 4-7 against the top 50. The rest of the Big South has 2 combined wins. That's just not going to cut it as a conference.
It's not. Talent, in my opinion, is down. Some people may be frustrated with me for saying that, but the conference is just not as strong. This year, it seemed like last year there were a lot of big dogs at the top of the conference that could beat anyone in the country on any given night.
Upstate, Gardner-Webb, Campbell.
Very competitive clubs. Upstate had some huge wins against big conference teams, Power 5 teams. This year just hasn't been the case, and maybe a little bit of a rebuilding year for some teams in the conference, learning how to play the game at a high level in a way that they need to succeed outside of conference.
There's strike 1.
But a lot of it is just transition. I know Campbell's been in transition in years past. It's 10, 15 years ago now. But, you look at a team like Coastal who did it first, I guess is a way to put it. And doesn't go around there. But Campbell, in a sense, modeled themselves a lot after Coastal and trying to figure out how they did it and how do we beat Coastal. Then it kind of was Liberty for a second or two there, then to Campbell now, the kind of reigning champions of the conference. And now teams can look at Campbell and say, how did they do it? Okay, how do we get to that point, beat them?
Nice snag by Arias. That is in time. Great defense for the second out.
I think it would help every team if they had a Waldy Arias. His defense is so spectacular. And doesn't have all-world talent, but has all-world work ethic and want to. And great job coming across the body and delivering a strike over there to first. Doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but what Waldy understands is it's all about getting the baseball airborne. Field the baseball cleanly, transition cleanly, and get that ball started in the right direction. He does a great job of that on that difficult play up the middle.
So an RBI chance for C.J. Falkenberry. This game is inching to the top of the 8th. Oh, good contact there. Wow. So Miguel Cabrera had his 3,000th hit today. The Tigers won 13-0 over the Rockies. The Cubs did him one better, won 21-0 as Ty Cummings strikes out the threat to end the 8th. Who needs offense when you can pitch it well like Cummings and company here through 8?
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Guess who's back? Back again. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Tell your friends. Campbell's back, looking for 13 wins in 14 games. I don't have anything else to say on that one.
That was better than I had, so
yeah.
Credit where it's due.
9-3 start. I tell you, if you're Justin Harry, you have to enjoy the way his offense has continued to pile things on.
Absolutely. It took him a while to get going, but starting to settle in and starting to become consistent in the big number outings from the offense, and they found their identity. They're peaking right now, and Neto's healthy. I think if Arnold's healthy, they get even more dangerous.
There's a strike to Zach Neto. Always a threat to leave the park with one swing. And Neto has another multi-hit game, 13 of those. So picking up at the right time. So what makes this Campbell team dangerous is that Neto hasn't even hit his peak yet at the plate, and he's just a piece of this big equation.
Must be nice to hit 371 with, 6 home runs?
Well, he hit 420 last year.
And I was wondering, I wasn't sure last year. Not that I didn't know he was talented, but
if it was legit.
If it was legit, all conference play, they didn't get to play a lot of those tough opponents outside of conference. And it didn't play out really like a typical season would. And
there's the third hit for Neto, who proves your point, goes the other way.
He's absolutely proven the point this year. And for a kid so talented with so many expectations, to be able to settle down right there, understand with 2 strikes, just find something you can handle and do a job with it. And right there, understanding the right side is open, the pitch is actually not super away, but just shooting it right through the 4-hole to pick up another hit on the day. And it's just so impressive for a kid with his ability to not try and do too much and just settle into his role.
That's Neto's 11th multi-hit game of the year. And remember, he's played in 8 less games than his teammates, battling an ankle injury. And when Neto was out, Campbell was 8-0. So they've played better with him back in the equation, but they found that confidence without him in the lineup.
When you're going through tough times, people have to step up, and that's exactly what happened. Logan Jordan stepping up, Denning finding his way, Drake Pearson coming around.
That should be 2. Wilkinson starts it. And this Longwood defense has turned 36 double plays this year, 7th best in the country.
That's incredible. That's really an incredible statistic. I mean, a lot of it is due to pitching, the guys that create ground balls, but when they get the opportunity, they roll it up. And a ball that's not sharply hit but beautifully turned, Wilkinson fields it very cleanly over there at third base and gets that ball out of his glove, giving his second baseman a chance to turn it over, and Harris doing just that.
Double plays are always nice, especially for the pitching staff. Kevin Gunn has been excellent out of the pen, and he's 1 strike away. That is strike 2 to Connor Denning. Kevin Gunn hasn't given up a run in 6 innings. There's a lot of Longwood arms we've seen this weekend entering this week with confidence. Maybe they've exited with a little less. Against the top hitting team in the Big South that has scored 18 runs in 2 games. So let's try the 3-2. Line drive, foul. Campbell has not played a sub-3-hour game in Big South Conference this year. Keep that in perspective. As Denning works out a walk. When you're scoring 10 runs a game, that certainly helps.
That's kind of what I was going to get at. By no means does Campbell play at a fast pace. I mean, no one's going to accuse him of that. But when you're scoring so many runs and you've got multiple pitching changes mid-inning from the other side, I mean, it's tough to maintain a decent pace of play. And with their slow pace combined with their high offensive output, it seems to drag at times.
You add on to the fact that even Campbell in a subpar offensive day, 9 runs, 11 hits. I mean, if that's the baseline, I can't imagine when it's all clicking what this offense can do.
It's hard to say this, but you're right. I mean, it's been pretty subpar from Campbell offensively.
Until Drake Pearson lifts one high into left field. This ball's got a chance, head off the wall. Second wall scraper for Pearson this weekend, and now it's 10-3.
He's just missed 2 balls to left field, one off the end of the bat. That appeared to be a backed-up breaking ball that I think he initially thought was going to break. It backs up on Gunn and just not able to get the hands all the way through this one. Yep, just a little bit inside the barrel. That's the difference.
Now he jogged like it was a home run.
The wind is dead. The wind is not going to help him on this one, and I didn't think he got enough of it off the bat. It was definitely close, but
so Pearson's now top 5 in the conference in doubles with 11 and home runs with 9. He's within inches of 2 home runs today. Which would he rather be top 5 in?
Home runs.
Really? Well, you had 10 home runs your senior year.
Home runs are it, man. That's what all the fans come to see, the home runs. The home runs get you put on the social media.
Speak of which, here's Babin smoking one out to right, and it gets to the warning track. So another RBI double. The lead balloons. Babin does not hit the brakes as he goes to third and makes it in safely.
Gotta love that effort from Babin. Kids, first team work ethic, and absolutely drives this ball just a touch off the bat, but great job hitting that out in the right center gap. Sees the bobble, and even though this game's so far apart, no quit in the Campbell catcher, moving around for 3 bags.
Well, after we just discussed a subpar offensive game, there's a double and a triple.
Hear me out on this. I still think it's been subpar. I mean, there hasn't
The 4-run fifth was the big inning.
They've had some stuff that's in large part been given to them. It's gotten better here lately. I think you'd say it's a little less subpar, but maybe I'm biased, but I thought this game was highly contested in the first 4 innings. And until things kind of were handed to them, I don't know, just not the offensive explosion I thought we were going to get here on Saturday. And
against an offense that ranks 30th in the country, 10 runs a game. Everyone's chasing Tennessee as the top scoring team in the country. Now the Volunteers, 11 runs a game. That's an SEC play, too. UNLV, now second in the country, rolling the dice in Vegas.
Now, would you consider that a tough place to play or no?
Vegas or Knoxville?
Vegas.
Not as a baseball player. I mean, when do baseball players have time to go to the casinos and gamble?
That I don't know, but does it ever become a distraction?
I would say for an NFL team, Vegas would be tricky because it's 1 week. You go on a Friday for a Sunday game, but
cool stadium though.
Oh yeah,
they call it the Death Star. I've driven by it.
Does it have like a fatal hole in the top of it where it could self-destruct and explode?
Actually, what's crazy about it is they play on a natural surface in a dome, I guess you would say. And after the game, they wheel the grass field out.
Whoa! So the grass
so
just
it
sits
gets
in a parking
sunlight
lot?
all year. I think they practice on turf. UNLV, I believe, plays there on a turf surface that they lay in also.
Oh, so
And
UNLV doesn't play on the grass.
No,
they play on the turf.
They play on the turf that's laid in. The grass is actually moved out after game days back into the sunlight.
Oh.
Yeah, I was blown away. I drove by it, all black, Death Star kind of.
Because NFL players prefer turf over grass. Baseball players prefer grass over turf.
I don't know. As a baseball player, there's pros and cons to both, I guess.
As Arias earns a walk with 2 outs.
I think as a football player, I would prefer grass because you don't have to get the turf burn.
Yeah.
And maybe a hot take, I think you're more susceptible to knee and ankle injuries on turf. In a football atmosphere, there's just not as much give as there is in a grass field. The turf has gotten better in years as of late, but I still think it's a bit more subject to injury.
Chad Oxendine is, well, hold on, a little to the left. There's Chad. Nope, a little more. We almost got him. There's Coach going over some signs. I think he's changing his lineup a little bit here. So a double shift could be in order.
Double switch would be the only time I believe he would.
This looks as complicated as a pizza order late at night.
Double switches are, they're tricky even for a coaching staff. If you don't know how to do them, it's an absolute disaster.
This is a first-year head coach, Chad Oxendine, a longtime assistant at Coastal Carolina, double-checking his card. So we'll take a timeout, go over all the different changes, and come back with more baseball here on ESPN+.
In sports,
we are used to an even playing field.
Unfortunately,
off the field,
court,
track,
coast,
not all people are treated fairly.
In the Big South Conference,
we commit to using our voices
to oppose injustices and inequalities.
Join us as we champion change
towards ensuring even playing fields
in and out of sports.
The Big South Conference.
We're allies.
We're advocates. Where winners are made.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
So a new pitcher, Grant Melnick, his brother Andrew Melnick will pitch tomorrow as the starter. So the younger brother Grant comes in. These are always neat stories for the Virginia Beach family, who's all in attendance this weekend. He played shortstop earlier in the inning and now comes in to get an out here in the 8th.
Some pitching genes, I guess you would say. I mean, but cool versatility to see the two-way player play a little shortstop, grab an out or two on the mound, and how cool it must be to play with your brother on the team.
Andrew will get the start tomorrow as a senior, and Grant, the sophomore, looks to stop an explosive Campbell offense. One note, we want to apologize for some of the technical difficulties you could be experiencing at home. We're working on it. Let's hope the game ends before things get too bad. Campbell's offense has other intentions. 2 more runs in the 8th. And here's Tyler Halstead. With the win, Campbell will move to 13-1 in Big South play, which I believe, have to double check the record books, will be their best start ever in the conference. They've had better stretches in conference play, but never this prolific in the first 15 games. And that's called ball 2. Wow. Melnick not getting the benefit of a strike call there. Especially earlier in the game when Bobby Dunnigan gave a poorly framed strike a strike. He didn't give the pitch over the plate a strike. Runner takes off. That's foul. Justin Hare is not afraid to keep pressing the button and letting his offense go to work. Which I guess he can't really turn that switch on and off.
There could be a bit of a slowdown.
There's a dimming effect. That's off of the glove of White, the new third baseman. 1 run scores. Arias gets the turn to the plate, and he's going to score. So it's lucky 13, a baker's dozen for this Campbell offense.
What I will say is Campbell does have the ability to kind of rub some people the wrong way because they don't ever hit the brakes, but it's kind of hard to. You want everything to keep going, and this ball just getting away from the third baseman, and Coach Hare, never a doubt in his mind. He's sending the runner. They're going to continue to score. They're going to continue to execute your offense. If you don't like it, stop it.
I mean, this inning was a runner at first and 2 outs. It could have been over 20 minutes ago.
And possibly a play that should have been made there.
Followed by Peterson, Babin, double and triple. Walk and a base hit. Now Belvin pops one up. Is this enough offense for you, Cole? We talked earlier about Campbell not at its A game offensively today.
It's getting there. It just, I don't know what it is. It's just hasn't felt the same, I guess. I mean,
the 9 runs last night may have been more prolific as Belvin crushes one to right. That'll end the inning. Last chance for the Longwood Lancers, searching for 10 runs when we would come back.
It's bow time. The workday might be ending, but your family's hunger is still gearing up for the night shift. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. Or you could just drop a big bow box on it. Because when you can feed the family with 12 Supremes, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can clock out and still spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner. It's bow time.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities, in our state, and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Well, Campbell looks to secure a 13th conference win. It's going to be tough. Upstate did win today. They're 12-5. But outside of those two teams, I'm not sure who else can make a run in the Big South.
Who gets hot late and finds a way to get it done. And I tell you what, Campbell, to me, is head and shoulders above the rest right now. But if any one of those teams gets hot at the right time and fights their way into kind of a bottom seed, maybe a mid seed into that conference tournament, I think they'll be exceptionally dangerous come Big South tournament time.
And you wonder, because of how the tournament's stacked now, Campbell plays the lowest seed remaining. So let's say the 4 wins, they don't necessarily have to play the 1 if the 6 wins the opening game. So it truly benefits the top seed.
It does. It's, I don't know, tournament time's so much fun. There's going to be a team that kind of sputters along the finish line and creeps their way into the tournament, and there's going to be a team that scratches and claws their way in and wants to prove everyone wrong. That's the team you don't want to face.
Think of Presbyterian last year. Had to win 2 straight series to get into the tournament, and then they won the whole thing.
They were hot at the right time. That's all baseball is.
Meanwhile, Upstate and Campbell, the top 2 teams in the regular season, they played an elimination game on the very second day of the tournament. As there's the first out. 2 innings scoreless for Ty Cummings today.
This might be the best I've seen Ty Cummings with his fastball. It's firm. It's got a ton of action on it, and just consistently creating ground balls.
And that's why Cummings' pitching now will be his 4th inning, correct?
Yes, he's
because he's burned for the weekend anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you really get above with only 1 day left, then playing tomorrow, once he gets around,
because he's only had 43 pitches,
25, 30 pitches, his day tomorrow is done.
This is shot to center field. Halstead in a big ballpark has room to make the catch. I heard one of the fans yell, "I got it." I'm not sure if she would have caught it, but I know he will.
Halstead he's provided such a big defensive boost for this team. Been just he's completely changed the complexion of the outfield of just how what was once maybe kind of a suspect group of outfielders has become very solidified by his presence out there, and great speed, great read, and just totally comfortable going straight back over his head to make the catch.
Which is the hardest catch in baseball.
Oh, it's brutal.
Anything straight at you or right over you?
Exactly. As an outfielder, you really fear the ball that's hit right on your cap and the ball where you got to take your head off the baseball and run backwards.
Ooh. That was hit hard. Right towards friendly fire. Ty Cummings searching for the final out to secure the series. And Michael Peterson has other intentions.
He is jumping all over the fastball. I think now with 2 strikes, he jumped on a couple of fastballs, used a bit of reverse psychology, and go back, elevated fastball.
Cummings wants a 4-inning save to close out this weekend. And he'll try it on the 3-2.
How do you feel about the save situation applying in this case?
I'm good with it. He entered in the 6th, so that'd be good enough.
I do find it interesting, and I'm partial because I was a closer. But to me,
he had to retire the entire order is the argument.
He did, and I agree with that, but none of it has felt save situation-esque.
It's not a modern save, that's for sure. It's a rule book save as Cummings walks Peterson.
I have no issues with the rule, and don't get me wrong, Cummings has done a great job coming in and solidifying this ball game. Has thrown very well. But as somebody that threw in those situations, and I threw in these ones too, there's nothing similar about the two. You don't go about your business the same. You're not worried about pitch to pitch, hitter to hitter. You're up there almost checking boxes in a sense, passing time. To me, they're too different to check in the same category.
So Jim White, who came in last inning to field at third base, he now hits. Last chance for the Longwood Lancers. It's a mental hurdle as well to not get sucked in by the monotonous pace of this game.
I was going to say dull, but yes, exactly. Monotonous is a great term.
Like watching a PBS documentary on a Sunday morning. Is there's strike two?
It's hard to play on either side of these games. It really is. It feels completely different, and that's kind of what I was saying about the save. Is just this has never felt close.
By definition, a save, but not by expectation in reality. So Cummings tries for a 4-inning save here on 1 and 2, and he gets it. So Campbell takes the series. 9 runs last night, 13 runs today. And the Camels are now off to an impressive 13-1 start in Big South play.
They're finding a way to do it. They've got new guys starting on the weekends for them, and the same old guys coming in to save the games. And they're starting to settle into their roles, and they're looking good doing it.